I almost didn't make it, by the way. You're aware. Because as soon as I started the stream, this weird-ass noise started upstairs. And it sounded like rushing water in a vacuum of some kind. And I started panicking because I thought that a pipe burst in my house, like my old house. I'm assuming that you guys probably remember that story about my old house where I had a pipe burst during the winter. And it sounded very similar, right? So I started freaking out thinking that I'm just cursed with burst pipes in houses. But it turns out that's actually not the problem, right? So we got this new, in our new house, we have basically this tub, like in the master bathroom, that's like jet massaging, I guess.
Whirlpool.
And yeah, like a whirlpool type tub. Yeah. But I did not know that the way that it prevents mold is by blasting air through it randomly. Where sometimes the machine will just turn on because my wife had a bath. And then about 15 to 20 minutes after the bath, apparently the vacuum turns on and it blows air through the machine so that you don't get any mold. I didn't know this. I've never owned a tub like that before. So all I heard was and my bathroom door was almost closed. And I thought that there was water just going everywhere in my bathroom. Like how I had in my old house with the basement. Do you guys remember that video? Where I had water rushing through my walls? Yeah. That was absolutely terrifying. So I almost didn't make it to this stream on time, like, 'cause I started it in time. But Bryce has a hot tub in his master bath. He's either rich or he lives in a hotel. I don't live in a hotel.
Look
but,
at my
huh? CIA? I'm not, dude. I'm not CIA. Don't do that. I'm not CIA, bro. I am not. I'm not CIA.
That's exactly what a CIA agent would say.
I'm pretty sure that a CIA agent like can't confirm or deny that they're a CIA agent. That's crazy. I'm never gonna beat the allegations.
Nope.
They're plump allegations. I don't know what to do.
Yep.
I'm cooked.
You're cooked, Chad.
You have the plump booties.
Hey, Bryce, I heard a new heresy today. You ready?
A new heresy? I don't think it's
Yeah.
new. I bet I can name something that it resembles.
Jesus is the Father of the Holy Spirit.
You know, man. Too easy.
Too easy, huh?
That's you know, man.
Buddy, actually, that's Catholic. Come on.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
How you doing today, bro?
Oh, I'm chilling, bro. Pretty sure you linked this wrong. Oh crap! I linked the wrong YouTube. I'm so stupid. I gotta fix that in the announcement. So silly.
You're so plump.
So plump.
Sorry.
Let's see. Where is the channel? Out prime number.
Oh, yeah. Analytical Spurg. Here we go.
Out prime number. What's up, man? There's my panel thing. Found it.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up, man?
I was just wondering if there was some argument that God existed.
You Cartesian?
Mm-hmm.
You going on different accounts now? Did you get banned?
No, I just have multiple. I have 2 accounts.
You have 2 accounts. Yeah, sure, man. I mean, I might as well switch things up a notch. I'm getting kind of bored of the way that I normally argue. You ever debated against the Augustinian proof?
I'm not sure. I don't really remember.
Yeah, sure. So the Augustinian proof. This is the way that St. Augustine of Hippo tried to prove the existence of God. And it's basically the unchanging truths argument. So it's not tag, it's more direct. Very specific.
Oh, well, what's the argument?
Premise 1, there are objective and unchanging truths. Like logical truths, like the law of identity, or mathematical truths, like 2 + 2 = 4.
Okay.
Premise 2 is that truth is not material.
Okay.
So the thing, just truth is not a physical property of material objects. It's because physical objects would be contingent, changing, and finite, of course. So.
Uh-huh.
Premise 3 is that truth would require a mind. Now here's what I say about that. Truth would be considered a characteristic of a proposition or a statement, and propositions require a mind to conceive and understand them, and truth cannot exist independently of all minds.
Why would anybody think that propositions require a mind?
A proposition would require a mind because it's that is how they're brought into existence. You think propositions exist in a vacuum?
I don't think think propositions are brought into existence.
Okay, so they're all eternal?
Well, I'm not even sure if propositions exist, but if they did exist, yeah, they would be eternal.
Okay. So I guess we gotta kind of cash out here what you're gonna do with that. So if we're talking about propositions, right? Would you say that a proposition would exist in the abstract?
Sure.
Okay. And so then, therefore, a truth is a characteristic of it, right? Truth would be considered a characteristic of a proposition.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, with that being said, then truth would require a mind, correct?
Well, I don't see why would that follow.
Because obviously concepts are mind dependent, and when we're talking about propositions,
Why would
those
anybody accept that?
That'd be what? Say that again.
Why would anybody accept that concepts are mind dependent?
You don't think that concepts are mind dependent?
No, why would anybody accept that? That's not even a popular theory in philosophy.
Okay, what are concepts? And so they're mind independent. So then, in what way do they exist?
Well, I don't understand questions like that.
Okay,
like,
so if I say that
asking-
something is mind dependent, I'm simply just stating that a mind is required for that said thing to be a thing.
I know what mind dependent means.
Okay, so you're saying that a concept is mind independent.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what brings about a concept?
Nothing brings it about.
Nothing. Dude, this dude's a sophist. Are you serious? How do we
That's like
derive
me
concepts?
asking
How do we derive
it's like me
concepts?
asking you what brings about God.
How do we derive concepts at all?
Are you asking how we have concepts?
How do we acquire them? How about that?
Well, yeah, so we have a language, and usually we kind of like acquire concepts through our language.
Mm-hmm. So when you acquire them through the language, is it the meaning of the thing that you're making to make something a concept, or is it the words?
Well, you can think of concepts as like the meaning of certain words. So if I have a word like dog, the semantic content of that term is the concept of a dog, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
And so just because we use our minds to learn about concepts, it doesn't actually follow that concepts themselves are mental or mind dependent. That inference would be invalid.
Okay, so if they're not something that arises from the mind, right? If they're not something that arises from the mind, what do they arise from? That was my question. You haven't answered
I've already answered this
No,
question. I said they don't arise from anything. If I asked you
So then dude, no.
Where does God arise from?
So God, so concepts are eternal then,
Where
in
does-
terms
where-
of the method in which they
Sure.
exist.
Sure.
Okay, so then how do you know that you're actually accessing a true concept versus something that would be false?
Concepts aren't, concepts like aren't not every concept is the sort of thing that can be true or false, right? Propositions are the truth bearers, but not every concept is a
I mean,
truth
and I
bearer.
already talked
Like
to
the
you about
concept of
the
a dog is
concept.
not.
Yep, I already talked to you about the concept versus then making a proposition about the concept versus the truth
Yeah, but
being a
you were
characteristic of a
just asking
proposition.
me how do I know the concepts are true, but like the concept of a dog is not a truth bearer. It's not the sort of thing that can be
I
true
know
or
that
false.
it's mapping towards the
Well, then I
truth,
don't
right?
know. Then I don't know why you're. I don't even know what you mean by it's mapping towards the truth. You were asking
How do you
me
not know what that
how do
means?
you were asking me how do we know we're referencing true concepts, and I was pointing out that concepts alone aren't truth bearers.
Yeah, I understand that just by making a, obviously, if you have a concept of something, that doesn't automatically determine the truth. But what do we use to go from the concept itself, right? What do we use to go from the concept to map that thing onto reality of it being the case?
Yeah, you're. I'm hearing like a vague soup of words that don't really make sense. Is there any way you can
How does
make your
that,
question more
do
precise?
you know what, do you know what I mean when I say mapping onto something?
No, I have no clue what you're saying.
So how do we know that the concept that we're giving, let's use a different word. How do we know that it actually describes or relates to the thing in reality?
How do we know that? How do we know that a concept relates to the thing in reality? Is that what you're asking?
Yes,
Like,
because you're saying that the concepts would be considered eternal, so you're kind of like preaching it in like a platonic sense.
sure, they're abstract objects, but I'm not getting the question. Sorry, you're asking me how I know the concept is mapping onto what exactly?
Like, so if we have a concept of a dog, how do we know that that's actually mapping or describing or relating to the ontology of a dog?
Um, well, I mean, sorry. What does it mean for what would it mean for it to map onto the ontology of a dog? I'm really
No,
not
I'm saying
getting.
how do we know, because you're forming more of like a platonic forms mindset when you're saying that there's concepts that would be considered eternal in the abstract sense. So when we're talking about it that way, how do we know that the concept that you're deriving of a dog actually relates or describes the thing in reality?
But when you say the thing in reality, are you talking about like just actual dogs?
The ontology of a dog.
Okay, so how do I know my car? How do I know that the
The
things we
concept would be
typically?
considered correct.
Well, I don't know what it means for a concept to be correct.
To actually
I
map
think you should
onto
think
something that
about
is
your
true.
question.
Okay.
It sounds like you're terribly confused.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're not going to actually coerce with me or actually have a conversation, then what's the point? Coerce is not the right word. But if you're not going to actually converse with me, then there's no point in doing that. Besides, I've seen you in multiple different conversations. You're a common sophist where you just have to describe everything. You know what I mean? There's no way that if you're somebody that is commonly practicing philosophy that you don't know what it means for something to be mapped onto something else. That's ridiculous. Coerce was not the right word, Hegel. I'm sorry. You got me. I said the wrong word there. My apologies. No one knows what he is saying. Okay. That's fine. You should probably study any form of philosophy of mind whatsoever. Ridiculous. It's the type of thing that St. Maximus talks about, specifically in some of his works on the philosophy of mind and and cosmology regarding the logi. So I'm sorry that I used that language and that it wasn't used that way. Saying that I'm just gibbering is actually crazy.
Hey Bryce, what's the conclusion for the Augustinian proof? Like, can you run through the premises real quick?
Yeah, the Augustinian proof is that there are objective, unchanging truths, like, for example, logical truths, moral truths, metaphysical truths, or mathematical truths. I usually don't say moral truths because a lot of people like to say no to that moral section of that. Truth is not a physical property of material objects. Physical objects are contingent, changing, and finite, so truth wouldn't be involved as a property of it. Truth is a characteristic of propositions or statements, and propositions require a mind to conceive and understand them, and truths cannot exist independently of the mind in that case. Since truth is immutable and arguably infinite in this case, a temporal or limited mind cannot fully account for it, and from the preceding premises it then follows that there must exist some form of eternal, necessary, and omniscient mind that is a grounded source for all truth, which would be God. That's the Augustinian proof for God. That is what St. Augustine used to prove the existence of God. I'm just using his argument straight up. What's premise 4? Premise 4 is that no finite mind can explain eternal truth without there being a grounding for the eternal truth itself. It would just be considered arbitrary. Bryce, I forgot the book you said to read. Can you type it again? St. John of Damascus, Exposition of the Orthodox Faith. Could you restate the whole thing, please? Yes. Augustinian Proof for God. This is found, by the way, in De Trinitate, and it's also found in the City of God. Premise 1 is that there are objective and unchanging truths, such as logical truths or mathematical truths, like the law of identity or 2 + 2 = 4. Premise 2 is that truth is not a physical property of material objects. Physical objects are contingent, changing, and finite. And truth is necessary, unchanging, and arguably infinite in a sense. Not in totality, of course. Premise 3, truth is a characteristic of propositions or statements, and propositions require a mind to conceive and understand them, and truth cannot exist independently of a mind. Premise 4 is that since truth is immutable and arguably infinite, no temporal mind can fully account for it. So the actual name of the premise would just be no finite mind can explain eternal truth without grounding. Premise, or the conclusion would be, therefore there exists an eternal necessary mind, or God, to ground said eternal truths. Pretty simple, so it's a pretty simple argument from the old times. Yeah, I know that they'll contend that, P3, which he did. And then when I asked him the actual like understanding of concepts, he basically fell into Platonism. And then when he fell into Platonism, saying that concepts are just like eternal things that we're just grasping at, right, which is basically in a Platonic form. That's why I asked the question of how do we know that the concept that we're grasping at is actually reflecting or representing or relating to the actual ontology of said thing or the thing itself, right? So it's an argument just against Platonism, and it's also something that Immanuel Kant uses regarding noumena and phenomena.
Hear me out. I just reject premise 1 because I'm an epistemic nihilist. Too easy.
How would you rebut the objection that eternal manifestation falls into a causal relationship? I mean, if all you mean by cause, like if all you mean by cause is that it's just the reasoning for an effect, then you can say that it is a causal relationship. If you're saying causal in terms of it actually meaning subsistence, then you just have to ask them to actually argue for that. They have to actually make an argument as to how eternal manifestation collapses into something regarding subsistence. EO versus WO? World orthodoxy is not a thing, by the way. TO made that word up. World orthodoxy does not exist. There's the Orthodox Church, and then there's schismatic idiots. Those are the two set. Those are the two. Sometimes the GOCK is kind of based because they're almost back in communion with Rokor. But everyone else is just an idiot for forcing arguments or forcing calendar argument. Saying that we subscribe to the Gregorian calendar in totality, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, Constantinople literally anathematizes the new calendar in 1533.
Yeah, it anathematizes the entire Western Gregorian calendar. An exact exposition. Yes, that's the work, Josiah.
I think Trinity is false.
Okay.
Is the Father God?
Yes.
Is the Son God?
Yeah.
Wow. Is the Holy Spirit God?
Yeah.
Wow. Is the Father the Son?
No. You're doing transitivity? No. Did you learn about that today?
Wow. No, I'm you're not ADS. Is the Holy Spirit the Son?
No.
Wow. Is the word God equivocal?
The word God equivocal?
Yeah, the term God.
I mean, the term God it wouldn't just pick out a singular thing of God. It would pick out the persons, the energies, or the essence. And so it would depend on the specific context in which we're referencing God. Besides, God in our understanding falls
So it's
from Saint
equivocal.
Gregory, in a sense, but not in the sense of like applying it to strict
X
identity,
is
like in the absolute sense.
equivocal. X is equivocal if it is a
I wouldn't say that it
multiplicity.
collapses entirely into what you're asking. What I'll say is that because the word God in our view, specifically like the way that Saint Gregory of Nyssa posits it, is an agent noun. And so because it's an agent noun, it's referring to an actor. And if it's referring to an actor, then if I say that the Holy Spirit is God, I'm just simply saying that the Holy Spirit is a person who is of the actor God.
Yeah, that's what an agent means. No sense. Now, X is equivocal if it's a multiplicity of meaning. Is the term God equivocal?
Okay, I'm telling you that the term can mean many different things depending on the context being termed at it. So you're trying to collapse everything into one.
So the term God is equivocal, right?
I wouldn't say that it collapses into that, Ahmed. You're trying to collapse all of everything, the way that we describe God, into one sense entirely.
So X is a multiplicity of notions then?
No.
So what is God?
God is an agent noun. So it would be considered a
God is
descriptor
an
of anything
agent
that is
noun,
of the.
right?
It would be a descriptor of anything that is of the same res as God in general.
The
Anything
same
that is
reality
of that res.
of that res. Okay, and how many res do you have?
There's one res.
Okay, there's one res. Is this one res absolute or relative?
The res does not refer to reality in the sense it refers to the being or the thing.
Yeah, is the being relative or absolute?
What?
Is the being absolute or relative?
Dude. Absolute or relative. The being itself being absolute or relative.
Yes.
The persons would be considered relative, so I'm not really sure why you're asking if the
I never
entire
asked
res
that.
would be.
Is that one res relative or absolute?
When you say absolute, are you just referring to a strict identity?
That's not what absolute means.
Okay, so then go ahead and describe what you're saying it is, because you like to make up terms a lot. So what is absolute to you?
Make up terms.
Yeah, all the time. You use a lot of like transcendental relations. We don't use that in Trinity.
No, the Thomistics do. A transcendental relation is a relation.
Literally, there's not a single Thomist that actually admits that. I've seen you debate multiple Thomists. All of them are like, what are you talking about?
Brother, I got it from the Thomistic book itself. I could show you.
What is the Thomistic book?
I'll just show you on the screen.
Sure, man.
Ahmed, is it still true that EO better?
No, both the EOs are worse actually.
Ah,
Bro, changes
so
your mind every
now,
day.
so now Ahmed is a contradiction. We're cooked.
I would love the I need to see what the Thomistic book is. I haven't read that yet.
No, I got you, bro. No worries. I know you don't read that much of like the Thomists, so I got you, bro.
No, I read a general sense of scholastic metaphysics, and scholastic metaphysics doesn't use transcendental relation as an argument.
I don't know what general sense means here.
Yeah, like for example, Edward Fazer's book, The Introduction to Scholastic Metaphysics.
Here you go. Hold on.
I can't wait to see where you got this from. The Thomistic book is created by Saint Thome. Yes. I just haven't read it.
This is the book, little bro.
What? A commentary on Saint Thomas's Theological Summa?
Yes.
Who actually made the book? Okay. Lagrange? Okay. So where does it talk about transcendental relations?
Okay, so this is a Thomistic book, right?
I mean, I would admit that. Yeah, it's from Lagrange.
Okay. Now, a real relation is what?
Transcendental?
Transcendental.
Yeah.
Or essential, such as essence to existence and matter to form, the relation of faculties, habits, and acts to a specific object.
The definition.
So when I say a transcendental relation, so when I say a transcendental relation, I'm saying a relation that's within, such as an essence to existence, such as a matter to form, something that's within its faculty. Okay, a predicamental or accidental, according to quantity, all the 10 categories Aristotle, right? For the passion, that's filiation. Now, real relations are divided into transcendental and predicamental. A transcendental relation is the order, including the essence of a thing as. For example, the soul's transcendent order to the body, that of the form to form, essence being, action subject, science to object. All of these things have relation by the very essence. Transcendental relations, you get the term. Predicamental relations are those called relation according to being, is defined by Aristotle as a real accident. Those who hold being is ordered to be something else.
Okay.
This relation is not included to essence of thing, but comes to essence like accidents. It's pure order reference to term as, for example, paternity, filiation, the equality of two quantities likeness.
Okay.
Sufficient.
So then when it would be considered a real relation, right? Because are you talking about the relation in terms of its distinction in that when you're making that critique? When you say for example, is there when you ask that question to Thomas, when you say is the relation between the Father and the Son transcendental, right?
Yeah, I'm saying is it within its own ordered essence, or is it predicamental, something that's gonna be a proper accident? That's what I meant. And that's what it goes by. It's within the commentary, bro. I don't make this shit up. The thing is,
okay. So then, what do you say if they say that it's transcendental? Then,
and by the way, these words look obscure because I go deep into the books, pages you've never seen in your life, like this, for example. So you agree? I haven't made this thing up.
I say that the way that you provide it in arguments are pretty. I think that they're kind of disingenuous sometimes.
So everything I show you. So did I make this word up?
The word itself, no.
Okay,
I didn't say that you made the word up. I said that you had made the concept and the way you were providing it up.
No, you said I made a term up.
Yeah, term is a concept, by the way.
I mean a term, which is going to be the meaning. We signify meaning to it.
Yeah. So it's the meaning of something, not the word itself, right?
Yeah.
So then I didn't tell you that you made a word up.
The term refers to the word.
Term refers to the word, correct. But then if you think if you think that's just equivocal, then that's just a word concept fallacy.
I think they're equivocal, within a general sense, like you said.
Within a general sense. So if you basically see a word and then you just apply what a concept could be of said thing, and then you apply it to all possible cases, is that genuine?
Yeah, but this word is a term. It's not just a word. It has a term. Conversion meaning.
Yeah, and I told you that the term that you use, the way that you argue for it, I think is disingenuous.
Yeah, so the way I ask a transcendental relation or is it predicamental, I'm seeing if the relations are something like proper accidents or something that's going to be essential. That's all I'm asking. It's simple as
why
that.
Why wouldn't you just say that? Anybody would understand if you say essential or accidental.
That's just another question you're asking me. That third question. Yeah, then I answer that.
I'm just asking that. Why do you purposely make things obscure when you know damn well that a person would understand if you said, "Is the relations essential or accidental?"
Well, because I'm able to summarize that sentence in one word. It's simpler.
Or you're intel bombing.
No issue. No issue. It comes from a book.
No issue. It comes from a book. Nice.
No issue. It comes from his books.
Yeah.
So, for example, Bryce, if you were talking about epitemia and attacking my position, I would want you to go deep metaphysical.
I agree.
So thank you for admitting I didn't make these words up. Anyways, back to Trinity.
I didn't say you made the word up again.
No, you did.
I didn't. I said the term.
I mean, the term is a word.
Are they identical at all times?
In the general sense, yes. General sense.
Bro's a sophist. Bro thinks that you could just commit word concept fallacies. I'm not doing this shit right now. I can't handle them. Yeah, I know you got kicked, Ahmed. I'm running from you. I always run. What's up, D-Bowl?
Hey, what's up? I just came to... I'm not contending. I don't have a contention with the prompt. But I wanted to ask your view on the Christ. So what do I mean? I mean... Christ, the person, he experienced pain and all of that stuff, everything that comes with being a human. But I'm talking, let's pick out an example like the crucifixion, right?
Mhm.
He experienced pain. He is into natures, right? Or some say from two natures.
Yes.
In what so the early Christianity affirms that God was unalived, and God um, was truly unalived, on the cross. I don't want to say the D word, but you know what I mean. So,
Yeah.
in what sense did God
The D word.
experience
You mean damned?
all of no, like
Oh.
D-I-E,
He means
unalived.
Oh, yeah. You can say. Okay. Never mind. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, unalived. Yeah. So, in what sense, like, did the divine, did the Word experience those emotions, those things, the divine Word, or do you think, like, how is it? Because he had flesh.
Well,
Like, how
so
exactly does it work?
So first, I'll say it like this. Okay, first, like the way that you're positing it is in an historian sense, right? So you're saying it in the sense of an historian, where there would be considered two persons, right? Did the divine word suffer, or did the human? Right? Like when you say it like that,
No, I agree. Christ is one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So we believe in two natures, right? So then we can say that the divine person suffered insofar as he possessed human nature, and suffering is something that is proper to human nature. So the divine person truly died, qua humanity.
So he truly died in per his humanity.
Yeah. The divine person of the second person of the Godhead suffered a bodily death.
Okay. So in that includes the suffering. So the suffering as well, that was experienced by the person, just because you are saying
By his humanity,
you're saying
yes.
we're not meant to by his. So how does that work exactly? What do you mean by his humanity? Like, did the divine experience anything at all?
Yeah, so suffering would be considered an energy, right? And so, or an operation or an act of a natural act that's proper to a nature. Persons or
Okay.
hypostases utilize acts. And they utilize or actualize energies or operations that are from their nature. So if the divine second person took on humanity, he could then actualize or utilize the energy of suffering. So then therefore we could say that the second person of the Godhead suffered while his humanity.
Okay. All right. Okay, sure. Would you say it's kind of like the soul body analogy? Like the soul uses the body as vehicle.
I mean, like, yeah, we use, like we kind of use the interpretation of Saint Cyril of Alexandria, believing that when he talked about the soul and body analogy,
Body and soul, yeah.
yeah, that applies to him actually talking about two natures in our view.
Okay. All right.
And
Okay, cool,
they would be
I
in a
understand.
union, in a hypostasis, right?
Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're trying to explain. Okay, I understand what you're trying to say.
Okay.
I was gonna ask as well.
Actually, something I can really use to make it help, actually, body and soul analogy, right? When a body suffers bodily pain, does the soul suffer bodily pain?
It doesn't. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant by body soul analogy. Yeah?
Yes.
Like the soul uses the body as a vehicle for things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Yeah, this is a thing I came up with. I just thought, maybe I would be interesting to see what your perspective would be.
Mm-hmm.
I had another question,
Okay.
if you don't mind. It's in Justin Martyr.
Yeah.
So Justin Martyr mentions that the Son was begotten due to the will of the Father.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you the quote exactly. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I already got it. It's in his dialogue with Trypho. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've read
what
I've read Saint Justin Martyr extensively. So when he's talking
what
about
do you
from
mean by that?
the will of the Father, right? He would be referring to the natural will or the essential will, which is not the same thing. It's not actually like a fully like instantiated will that proceeds from the essence and then used by the person. It's just referring to the essentiality of what is necessary. So the Father and the essence, because of the fact that they would be considered materially identical to each other, that then when I say the will of the Father caused the Son, especially in Saint Justin Martyr's view, that all that's simply saying is that it was natural or essential that the Son comes into being.
Natural or essential. Okay.
Yeah. So like there is no like so in all possible worlds the Father begets the Son and spirates his Spirit. It's natural
Okay, I
to
see.
God's existence.
Right. Okay. And in cool. Yeah. That makes sense. Sure, that makes sense. I'll read more on Justin Martyr just so because that's interesting. I was gonna ask in your model of the Trinity, the hypostases, they're extrinsic to the nature, right? Or intrinsic.
I mean, they would
Pretty
be
sure
like
extrinsic.
extrinsic meaning what? That they're external to the reality of said thing, and that they just relate to it because they're outside of
I
it, or what?
mean, I'm asking like if the modes are grounded in the nature, like
We would
one is
say,
begotten, one
yeah,
is
we would say that that would actually come into a virtuous circularity actually, because we would say that the Father would be grounded in the essence, and the essence would be grounded in the Father, and then the Son would be grounded in the essence because he comes from the Father, and the Spirit would be grounded in the essence because he comes from the Father as well. So there's different modes in which that they are grounded in the essence, and the essence is grounded in the person of the Father. So there'd be different methods that they are. That's actually how we can determine that the way that they're identical to the essence actually helps in defeating LPT arguments.
Yeah. Okay. So because you said a lot, so you're saying that the distinctions, like in modes, is not it's grounded in the essence.
Let me.
You know.
I'll do a little paint thing. Hold on. Can you see this?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So if we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right?
Yeah.
The Father would be considered the essence, like in terms of grounding. They ground each other, right? So this would be considered the starting point to everything, right? And then due to the fact that the Father causes the Son, the essence is then also with the Son, right? But the reason why the Son is grounded in the essence is because he comes from the Father. The Father has nobody that he comes from, so he's grounded in the essence in a different manner. The Son is grounded in the essence because he's caused by the Father. Same thing with the Holy Spirit. The fact that the Holy Spirit is caused by the Father is the reasoning behind why he's grounded in the essence as well. But he's grounded in a different mode. He's grounded in the essence by being spirated, and the Son's grounded in the essence by being begotten.
Okay. Cool. Okay, I see your perspective on that. Okay. Is this like so this is like all of like this is the Eastern,
This is Orthodox's
this is
view.
how they all
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
They may explain it in different manners, but I'm just explaining it in the way that the Cappadocians proclaimed it when they were debating people like Eunomius.
Sure. Okay. I don't know. Well, I'm just asking because I've heard people like Eastern Orthodox say that it's extrinsic, and they were pretty clear about it. They just said extrinsic. So, and because people try and like do a gotcha against not just Orthodox, anybody that believes in the Trinity. They ask, where is the, where is the distinction? Where are they grounded? Where is the distinction grounded? Is it in the nature? You can't really, I guess you can say nature because according to what you just showed, but
The distinction in terms of like the distinction between essence and person, or like the distinction in terms of like the persons themselves.
I'm talking about the hypostatic properties.
The hypostatic properties, those would be grounded in the persons, because they're properties that are only proper to the hypostasis. We wouldn't say that the essence properly is begotten or the essence is unbegotten in a proper sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
That wouldn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Cool. I don't even. I just wanted to ask you. See what you were. What your viewpoint would be. That's on those couple things.
Yeah, that's fine. Appreciate your questions though.
No problem.
All right, you have a good one, man.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll leave.
All good.
Yo, Bryce J, can you give me 1 minute?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah, go ahead. Honestly, like, I'll just use Boethius' definition, Joshua, and just say that it's an individual substance of a rational nature. Nothing wrong with saying that. It doesn't really collapse anything bad. Can I have your Discord? You can actually join my Discord server. It's actually labeled right there on the prompt. You can friend me from there. I'm Catholic, but the Eastern Orthodox Church makes more sense to me. That's a huge W. If you have any questions about Orthodoxy, you're more than welcome to come up here as well, Paola or Paula. I don't really know how to say your name correctly. I apologize. I just want to ask if there were if one were to start learning all these things, would you recommend one to start and where to read? St. John of Damascus' exact exposition of the Orthodox faith is a really good introduction to pretty much all the stuff that I'm saying. I'm always going to recommend that book. You start there, and if you understand everything that's in that book, then you can start branching out from there and looking at other sources. But I always recommend going there first. And if you want to just learn about Orthodoxy in general, go to church and talk to a priest. Right.
I'm back.
All right, what's up?
Yo, hello?
Yeah.
Do you think that Oriental Orthodox Church, are they saved?
What do you mean, do I think that they're saints?
Saved.
Saved? I have no idea. I don't even know if I'm saved.
No, I mean, like, do you think that they're on the right path to be saved?
I don't personally think that they are because they're not in communion with the Orthodox Church.
Yeah, but are you like a true Orthodox?
What? I mean,
Are you a true Orthodox?
No, I'm Eastern Orthodox. I don't follow that weird schismatic sect.
Okay, so do you think like that the church fathers that they were Diophysites?
I do believe that the pre-Chalcedonian ones are Diophysites, yes.
Okay, can you prove that?
Yeah.
No, for example, the Saint Cyril.
Are you that one dude, Miaphysite or whatever?
I'm who I am. I am who I am.
You're Yahweh?
No,
Wait,
no.
why you say just from Cyril? You don't want to go to none of the other fathers?
No, I'm just asking. Can you just prove Cyril? Because Cyril's not on me.
Cyril gonna contradict the other fathers?
About to say, I was like, we can argue about Cyril all day long, considering the fact that obviously he had the Alexandrian method in talking about person and nature. But I mean, I think that the debate about other fathers that are pre-Chalcedon, I think is a better conversation from different schools, right?
Yeah, but you just quoted Saint Cyril not too long ago.
Yeah,
so
I was talking about the body and soul analogy. I was talking about the body and soul analogy.
Because I can prove that Saint Cyril was a Miaphysite.
You do realize that
if he's a Miaphysite,
what?
Are you literally going to read because one incarnate nature of the word? Is that what you're going to read to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, in our view, we don't interpret it as that saying that that's only one composite nature. In our view, when he says that there's one incarnate nature of the word, he's actually talking about two natures because he would be referring about one nature that has incarnated.
Wait, one nature which has incarnated? Wait. That's so...
One incarnate nature of the word. So saying of the word would be considered the divine nature. Oh, I can't? What?
No. Who led you to interpret this? No,
Saint Maximus, Leontius of Byzantium, Leontius of Jerusalem, Saint John of Damascus. Okay, what's your argument?
They don't venerate. They don't venerate him.
They don't venerate Saint John. They don't venerate Saint Cyril.
No, Saint John of Damascus. You said Saint John of Damascus interpreted which we
use people that supported our position because we believe that they were the true continuation of the church. Do you understand how that works?
But let me ask you a question. What leads you to believe that he's talking about the one word became incarnate into two natures? Because that's so like that interpretation is so like. I can't even describe it.
It's complicated?
No, it's not complicated, bro.
Because it sounds to me like you're making an Occam's razor argument. Like you're just saying that your definition is simpler, so then mine's too ridiculous. The Muslims make that arguments to us. The Muslims actually make that arguments against us all the time. Talking about how the Trinity is too complicated, so it shouldn't make any sense.
You're not saved. Who's us?
What do you mean we're not? What?
Buddy,
When
I
did I?
believe
When
that
did
you're
I
gonna
say?
go to hell unless you repent.
Okay.
Wait, does Saint Ambrose need to repent of his diaphysitism?
Yeah. Does
Yeah, he
he?
does. He's a heretic.
He does.
He
Wait,
does?
Ambrose the Diaphysite? He's an historian.
He's a heretic.
And
Yeah.
Saint Ambrose.
All Eastern
Yo.
Saint
all
Ambrose,
Eastern,
though.
Say
Wait,
Eastern
you just said
that.
Saint Ambrose is a heretic?
all Diophysites are historians.
Hey, do you? Yeah. Let me go ahead and read something for you. Do you want me to tell you when Saint Ambrose was alive, buddy?
You, bro.
He's a saint in your church, doofus.
339 to 397 AD. Do you want to recant that?
Yeah, my mic, I can't really hear you that well. But I actually, to prove your interpretation.
Why are you running from this, bro? You just condemned Saint Ambrose.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, Saint Ambrose. Do you condemn him for his diophysitism?
He wasn't a deal. He wasn't a
So when
Diophysite.
when he confesses two essences, what does that mean?
Two essences in Christ.
Yeah,
Show me where he confesses this.
gotcha. Give me a second.
Hold on, let me go ahead and bring up some of the stuff quoted here. All right. What do you think about this? A truce then to vain wranglings over words, for the kingdom of God, as it is written, consisteth not in persuasive words, but in power plainly shown forth. Let us take heed to the distinction of the Godhead from the flesh. In each there speaks one and the same of God. Each nature is present in him, while it is the same person who speaks. He speaks not always in the same manner. Behold in him now the glory of God, now the affections of man. As God he speaks of the things of God, because he is the Word. As man he speaks of the things of man, because he speaks in my nature. Does Saint Ambrose, or does Christ have two natures then, in that case? He's speaking from a human nature and he's speaking from a divine nature?
No, he doesn't.
Okay, so do you deny this quote?
I think it's a forgery.
Okay, let me do a different book then. God, by virtue of his divinity, and by taking upon him of the flesh, the man Christ Jesus, that the Lord of glory is said to have been crucified, for possessing both natures, that is, of human and the divine. He endured the passion in his humanity, in order without the distinction.
Wait, he actually said both natures.
Yeah. Exposition of the Christian Faith, Book 2, Chapter 7, Section 58.
Can you expand me real quick, Bryce?
This is a pretty good one too, I think. Oh yeah, I already read that one.
Wait, hold on. My crop game is terrible.
Book 3, Chapter 4, he also says,
Here's
but
a
how...
quote if I just forwarded it to you.
I already read it. You're good. I already read that quote. I read that while you were finding it.
It was the wrong quote. My fault.
Oh, you're good. So he also says in Book 3, Chapter 4, he says, but how can the Son say that he was without help when it had already been said, I have laid help upon one that is mighty? Distinguish here that also the two natures present. The flesh hath need of help, the Godhead hath no need. He is free then, because of the chains of death had no hold upon him. He was not made prisoner by the power of darkness. It is he who exerted power amongst them. He is without help because he is himself the Lord, hath by no office of the messenger or ambassador, but by his own might saved his people. How could he who raises others to life require any other in order to raise his own body? Is that okay? When it says distinguish here the two natures present, is that okay?
Can you send me the quote so I can send it to Agan?
Really? You for real?
What do you mean?
Yo,
Yeah,
this is
sure.
a troll, bro.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm not. If someone's more knowledgeable than me about the position, I'm gonna give them.
It's in chapter 4. It's in book 3, chapter 4 of the exposition of the Orthodox, or the exposition of the Christian faith.
Hold up. Who transmitted it?
Who transmitted it?
Yeah.
Saint Ambrose.
No, like who preserved the book?
Preserved the book? Do you want me to keep reading? Because there's a lot of them. Are you going to say that they're all bad? Because, I mean, I have like 10 things from him in one book that does this.
No.
So, I mean, like,
Wait,
if you want to call forgery or something, that's going to be really bad.
I have another question.
Okay.
It's completely off topic.
Okay.
Do you venerate, or do you think, what do you think about do you think like the 21 Coptic martyrs, that they would have grace?
I don't personally venerate them, but it's a sad story, and I pray that through the Orthodox Church they're saved.
Wait, you think that Orientals are real Orthodox? Like, do you think they're
I
Orthodox?
didn't say that. I said I pray through the Orthodox Church that they are saved, the Eastern Orthodox Church.
Okay, but do you think Orientals are Orthodox?
No.
So do you think that they're not a part of the true church?
No.
Why is this?
Because their belief is false in Christology. They reject Chalcedon.
Okay, but why can't we just say that? Why can't we just unite?
Why can't we just unite? Because you guys won't repent of your heresy.
Yeah. Why would we repent of our heresy when you guys split from us?
How could we have split from you? You're the one who
Hey,
rejected
but
Chalcedon.
Dioscorus got excommunicated.
Yeah, Dioscorus
We
got
split when Dioscorus
excommunicated.
got excommunicated.
Who?
How could we have been the ones to split when you guys
Wait,
are
you
the ones
don't know
that
who
rejected the
Dioscorus is?
council?
No.
You guys rejected the council. How did we split? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because the council, it contradicts the Council of Ephesus.
Can you show
That
me
just
where that happens?
presupposes meophysitism is even true.
Yeah, that presupposes that Ephesus taught meophysitism. I mean,
Because Ephesus did taught me Ephesus. I can show you proof as well.
are you going to show me where it says one incarnate nature of the word again?
One incarnate nature of the word would literally mean that meophysitism is.
All right, man.
true.
I'm going to show you the problem with this, okay? When Christ's one composite nature, right? When in terms of this one composite nature, when Christ's body was glorified after he resurrected from the dead, what changed in Christ?
Are you asking me that question?
Yeah, what changed in Christ when his body was glorified after his resurrection?
The one incarnate.
The whole one incarnate nature changed?
Yeah.
So God changed. You're gonna stick with that?
Hold on, do I need to start the Jeopardy timer?
So did God change in your view? And he left.
Yeah, and funny thing is like that interpretation of one incarnate nature of the word is John of Damascus using Cyril to interpret it.
That's yeah.
You saw what I
exactly.
sent you, Bryce?
Yeah, they're freaking
Yeah.
they don't even understand that like Saint Maximus and Saint John of Damascus both agree with one incarnate nature of the word. They would have no problem with saying that. We just think that Saint Maximus taught the real meophysitism. That's kind of like the entire point.
Hey, Bryce, the
Agan
John
is coming for you. I really don't want to deal. I really don't want to deal with freaking Agan tonight, bro. I'm just gonna get like freaking 1,000 Coptics in here, and it's just not. It's not fun because they're all disingenuous and annoying.
Alright, I got this. I'll just invite Abdul. You can
Yeah, Saint. Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. Yeah, Battleground live again. Exactly. I need to freaking get the. I need to get freaking Dr. Doom Battle Planet going again, where I just keep bringing in all the big wigs to fight.
To be fair, Bryce, it was
funny. Such a good live, bro.
You instigated
I kept,
it so
dude.
hard,
I
bro.
kept
You put your
instigating so much
hands-
shit. I put Wayne up there, and then Wayne left, and I'm like Sig, and then I was like Cataclysm. I was like, fuck this, bro. I'm gonna keep sending people up there.
Yo, you knew what you were doing too, because you put your hands behind your head, bro, and laid back in your chair.
Yeah, it's
That was so funny.
yeah, dude. It was fun. It was super fun. You know what I mean? It was actually Pokemon. Yeah. Like I said, man, like if you want to summon him, you're more than welcome to, but I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of the stuff that he argues for, I haven't even read on. So he also likes to interpret our fathers in a different manner. So I'm not really sure. Like, you know, I'm not even, I will blatantly admit this, that I'm probably not even going to understand most of his critiques, because a lot of Agan's critiques are not things that I hear from most people. I will admit
Yeah,
that.
to be fair, like that dude's such a sweat. He goes and
I would have to
retranslate Cyril.
Yeah. And I would, if he ended up coming up here, I would probably have to phone a friend who actually specializes in Christology like Cataclysm or somebody who actually does it for a living. I don't do Christology very often. I do know how to argue in a general sense for my Christology, but I'll debate freaking, like top Catholics on like the Filioque all day long, but not the top Coptics on Christology, because I don't understand a lot of their Ananda. Yeah, Ananda really specializes in it. He's crazy good at it. Ananda's
And
very
I'm
good.
inviting Christian B. Wagner just because you said that.
Christian B. Wagner would never hop on TikTok, bro. Are you crazy? He's better than that. Bring Joshy.
You think
Joshy
you
doesn't
think
really.
you can murk him?
Joshy doesn't debate anymore, Joel. He just goes on and teaches now sometimes. I don't know why you guys keep saying Agan is being summoned. I already told you that, like, freaking, I'm probably gonna have to end up phoning a friend for Agan. Every time that I watch videos of him debating, I don't really know what he's talking about. Like, I'm blatantly admitting that to you guys, like, in humility right now. I don't understand his critiques. I can argue in a general sense with, like, regular people, but Agan's not regular. I will admit that. And so, like, there's no point in bringing him up here just for me to go, Unban me from Discord. I did no wrong. You have to tell me what your Discord ad is. I don't know who who you are. Concession? Yeah, it's a concession. It was. That's fine. I need to get back into my Christology arc. I kind of quit for a while because I've been doing a lot of stuff with Unitarianism and like analytical philosophy and stuff like that. Trying to study the modern Philosberg positions. Would you ever debate Agan in the future? In the future, not now, but sometime in the future.
But Bryce, is the human nature, is it a universal or a particular?
Orthodox streamer gets refuted on lot. Bruh.
Okay, sure. Count the bar.
Oh wow.
Wait, Ahmed already posted it?
No. This is an old ass video where I debated that one Jew, Yaakov. And I made an argument for Jesus being the Messiah, and his argument to me was we have to agree to disagree. And I basically just took that as a concession and started rage baiting the rest of the time, so I got cooked apparently. Imagine if Bryce would convert his knowledge on Filioque to Christology, bro would cook. Bro, there's not very many, like, the amount of studying required to understand, like, the Filioque, I'm going to be honest with you, is way easier than Christology. Like, people that specialize in Christology are a different breed, bro. They are a different breed in this field of apologetics.
Yeah, Abdul said that he would go nights with like 7 Red Bulls just staying up all night reading.
Yeah. Filioque is a boring topic. That's because it sounds to me like you don't understand it very much, man. I'm telling you. You get into it and you really start understanding the position, it's fun to argue about. It is so fun to debate. Because you realize how cooked that position is.
Bro, you should go low-key debate William Albrecht on Filioque.
Who?
William Albrecht.
He doesn't even understand metaphysics, bro. Like, there's no point. He's just gonna fucking quote mine saints.
Easy. It's too easy. Just quote mine.
Yeah, he'll just quote mine saints, and then I'll just quote mine saints, and I'll just be like, "You're reading into it. You're actually reading into the text. You don't even know what you're talking about."
Yeah, I can't hold you. The funniest
you guys
thing,
are being really
like,
stupid right now because you don't even know. You're acting like a child, man. You're acting like a child. That's literally what he does.
It's funny too because like
Doing the eyebrow shit.
You know, the quote unquote top guys. Like, how you gonna feel when he brings up Basil and gets to Eunomius? He gets being from him. See, Basil agrees.
Yeah. Your definition of material identity is simply to just be of the same res. To be of the same thing. If the essence and the person of the Father are materially identical, they're of the same res, of the same thing. They are the same being. That's why we would say the energies are as well. No problem with that.
Yeah, by the way, I was watching Christian B. Wagner and Ubi Petrus' debate on Filioque. When I was watching Wagner's opening statement, he literally used that passage, that forged holy crap,
Oh, the freaking
passage
against
from
Eunomius
Basil.
passage.
Yes, and he literally said, although some claim it as a forgery, I'm still going to use it because I think it's not.
Can you explain economic procession? Yeah. I mean, economic procession is simply the operation of the Trinity down to creation. So the economic procession is, technically speaking, an eternal thing. It's not a temporal relation or a temporal procession, right? It is an eternal procession that is represented or manifested into creation. So it's actually the order of operations in the Trinity. Everything, all the energies being from the Father through the Son in the Spirit. That would be the economic procession. You say it's heresy to believe the energies in essence are different multiple objects. You have to define what an object is. Entirely depends on what you mean by object, man. That's kind of ambiguous to say object, right? Because if you're just saying metaphysical object, that even also makes it
Yo,
ambiguous. Huh?
hello?
Yeah, what's up?
I got a question about the book of Hebrews.
What's going on with the book of Hebrews today?
Do you believe that's anonymous?
No, our church tradition holds that Paul wrote it.
What about when Origen said that, as to actually wrote the epistle, God knows the truth of the matter?
I mean, yeah, he made that claim because he didn't know anybody at the time that knew that manner. There's no problem with that. I mean, Origen is not a historian, so him giving his opinion is not really a issue.
Can you quote me a church father that believed that it's not anonymous?
Yeah, I mean, like
St. John Chrysostom.
I'd have to dig for a little while, but I mean, I could try to find something.
St.
I
John
haven't wrote that
Chrysostom.
down in a long time.
Like before.
This is a textual
like,
criticism
in the first
question.
century or second century.
What?
Yeah. Like between the first and the second century.
Yeah, I can see if I can try to find something. It's gonna take me a little bit though. I haven't done textual criticism in a while. And I stopped doing that
because
a while ago.
because I was talking to a Muslim and he said that you cannot use the book of Hebrews because it's not reliable because the author is anonymous.
I mean, the author being anonymous doesn't determine that a text is not capable of being the case. I mean, I don't know how that follows.
That's why I'm here to ask you.
Even I guess until I have my answer for you, if I were to say that for the sake of the argument that Hebrews, that we didn't know, right? Like, how does that determine that the truth of the book is false, or that the book is not true? Because I mean, we have manuscripts of Hebrews being in the canon in like the 1st, 2nd century. So why wouldn't we still affirm it even if it would be anonymous for the sake of this argument? Even the first Christians had it.
Right. I mean, I just need the quote on the church fathers agreeing on the book of Hebrews that it's for Paul.
I mean, they probably didn't even agree.
They didn't.
No, not until around
Did
St.
they
John. Probably not till St. John Chrysostom or St. John Chrysostom's time. None of the people that were
they didn't
arguing.
use the book.
What?
They didn't use the book of Hebrews until the John Chrysostom guy came.
No, they used it long before that. They just didn't really talk about the author like trying to prove textual criticism back then because that wasn't a concern. Back in the day, if they had a book that came from this person and then came from this person, it was just automatically considered authoritative. There was no hypertextual criticism that existed, like in that time period, right? They would hold the chain of narration in the tradition sense, where due to the fact that it was used since the time of the apostles, then therefore we just hold to it from the tradition. So then they wouldn't have to make any form of polemics or arguments against the book of Hebrews until people start questioning it in like the 5th, 6th century, which is why people like St. John Chrysostom in the 4th century was making those arguments as to why Hebrews was written by Paul, because there were people that were coming up in his time period trying to say that it was a forgery because they just didn't like what was in the book of Hebrews. A lot of the heretics that were trying to discredit certain books were doing it because of the fact that it didn't fit with their agendas. Tertullian does
what
it.
Book of?
Hold on.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Sonny said Tertullian said it. Sonny, do you know what book it is? De Pedici. Tertullian said that Barnabas wrote Hebrews. It was actually one of the that's actually one of the reasons why he was rejected. Like in the tradition.
So which one is it? Is it Paul or Barnabas, or like Paul told?
Like I said, like I said,
to write it for him. Which one?
I mean, it could be that, but I mean, like I said, in our view, like people didn't start writing polemics for Paul writing Hebrews until later on in time, so we just kind of hold to the consensus after those debates started.
Right. Okay. So, what is the quote used by John Chrysostom? What chapter? What book?
Let's see here. See if I can pull it up.
Yeah, please.
Homilies on the Gospel. Here we go. Archbishop on the Epistle to the Hebrews. Second. Okay, so chapter 2 of St. John Chrysostom's his letter on, or his homily on the Epistle to the Hebrews. He says in chapter 2, he says, "Why then, not being a teacher of the Jews, does he send an epistle to them? And where were those whom he sent it? It seems to me in Jerusalem and Palestine. How then does he send them an epistle? Just as he baptized, though he was not commanded to baptize. For he says, I was not sent to baptize, not however that he was forbidden, but he does not does it as a subordinate manner. How could he fail to write to those for whom he was willing to even become accursed? Accordingly, he said, Know ye that our brother Timothy is set at liberty, with whom, if he comes shortly, I will see you." So he's making the claim that the epistle that is to the Jews is from Paul, which the epistle to the Jews is Hebrews.
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. I mean, currently I'm an agnostic. I'm inquiring, orthodoxy. Well, I mean,
okay.
I'm still having a hard time choosing between Catholic and Orthodox. Like, I don't know where to go. I mean, I believe that the Bible is the Word of God and Jesus is the Messiah, but I'm not sure what denomination to choose. I mean, when I go to the Catholics, they make an argument for the Filioque. When I go to the Orthodox, they refute it. So, I mean, I want your position. For example, do you believe in Augustine?
Yeah.
As a saint?
Yeah.
Do you believe that he taught the Filioque?
No.
What is the quote that the Catholics take from Augustine?
De Trinitate, book 15, section 47 normally.
How can you refute that?
I show everything else that's in his corpus to show that it's not referring to the subsistence of the Holy Spirit. So, like, for example, let me read this to you and see what you think about this.
Yeah.
This is in De Fide et Symbolo, or the symbol of faith, on the Faith and the Creed on the Trinity, page 169. He says, "However, they do insist that the Holy Spirit is not begotten, as they assert of the Son from the Father. For Christ is the only begotten Son, nor is the begotten from the Son the grandson, as if it were of the Almighty Father. Nor is he indebted to no one for his existence. They maintain that the Holy Spirit owes his existence to the Father, whom everything comes, lest he should find ourselves postulating two principles of origin, an assertion that would be totally false, utterly absurd, and contrary to the Catholic faith, but an error characteristic of certain heretics." And
can you put on this?
Yeah. And who do the Catholics say the Holy Spirit owes his existence to? Right here. This whole
they proceeds from both the Father and the Son.
Yeah, St. Augustine is straight up saying that that's something that a heretic would say.
Damn, what is this quote from?
The symbol of faith on the faith and the creed. So he was literally talking about the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed, saying that we would never say that he also proceeds in the... Yeah, here, I'll just clear it out for you. Yeah, it's like... Is this notion? Yeah.
What do you think about... okay, so this is talking about the Filioque. What do you think about the papacy? Why is it wrong?
I mean, because they make claims about, like, and it's normally stems from Vatican I, where they'll make the claim that that the Pope has a supreme authority, where he can actually overrule councils and things like that, and that he also has an infallibility to where if he speaks ex cathedra, anything that comes out of his mouth in terms of faith and morals would be considered infallible. And our argument is that that's not represented at all in the first millennia, so that would be considered innovation.
Right. Okay.
No, it's not. It's not notion. Sorry, no face. I thought you were making a joke about Ahmed Qureshi. No, it's not notion. It's click up.
They also make the argument from the verse from the Bible that says that Peter was given the keys, right?
Yeah. So are the other apostles though in Matthew 18.
Yeah, I quote that as well. Also like in Acts 15 when James was speaking as an authority as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who ran the Council of Jerusalem in the Book of Acts?
Yeah. So James was speaking as an authority.
Yeah. And guess who was refuted?
Who?
Peter.
Wait,
Yeah,
really? I didn't read all the Book of Acts.
Yeah,
so...
Peter was the one who was rebuked for Judaizing. And James was the one that freaking pressed him, and so was Paul.
Wait, can you show me the verse that actually Peter was rebuked?
Yeah.
Because if Peter is the authority and the Pope according to the Catholics, then, if he got rebuked, then he cannot be the Pope, right?
Yeah, hold on. So first off, he was publicly rebuked in Galatians 2. This was a different event, but it'll lead up to what we're about to talk about at the Council of Jerusalem. Let me pull it up. I think it's verse 11. Work here. Okay. Verse 7 of Galatians 2, on the contrary, they recognized that I had been entrusted with the task of preaching the gospel to the uncircumcised, just as Peter has been to the circumcised. For God, who is at work in Peter as an apostle to the circumcised, would also at work in me as an apostle to the Gentiles. James, Cephas, and John, those esteemed as pillars, gave me and Barnabas the right hand of fellowship. By the way, it's really funny that James, Cephas, and John are considered the pillars, by the way. That's funny. When they recognized the grace given to me, they agreed that we should go to the Gentiles and that they should be circumcised. All they asked was that we should continue to remember the poor, the very thing I had eager to do all along. When Cephas, or Peter, came to Antioch, I opposed him to his face because he stood condemned. For before certain men came from James, he used to eat with the Gentiles, but when they arrived, he began to draw back and separate himself from the Gentiles because he was afraid of those who belonged to the circumcision group. He was Judaizing, Christianity. Right?
Right.
So then now, if we go to the book of Acts, I think it's Acts 15. Yeah, Council of Jerusalem. And we look at the appointments and the canons that were established there. Right? Let me see here real quick here. Okay, verse 19 of Acts 15. It is my judgment, therefore, that we should not make it difficult for the Gentiles who are turning to God. Instead, we should write to them, telling them to abstain from food polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from the meat of strangled animals, and from blood. For the law of Moses has been preached in every city from the earliest times and is read in the synagogues on every Sabbath. The apostles and elders, with their whole church, decided to choose some of their own men and send them to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas. They chose Judas, who was also called Barsabbas, not Judas Iscariot, and Silas, men who were leaders among the believers. With them, they sent the following letter: the apostles and letters, your brothers, to the Gentile believers in Antioch and Syria, greeting them, saying that you, and then just kind of like putting it in a general sense, saying abstain from idols, abstain from food you're not supposed to have, things like that. And then sometime later, Paul said to Barnabas, let us go back and visit the believers in all the towns that we preach to the word of the Lord and see how they are doing. Barnabas wanted to take John, also called Mark, with them, but Paul did not think it was wise to take him because he had deserted them in Pamphylia and had not continued with the work. Hold on, I gotta go to the next chapter. I think it's Acts 16. Where is it at? Paul's vision, Lydia's conversion, Paul and Silas in prison. I'm looking for the specific section here. Where he does these things. Oh, here we go. Verse 5. Then some of the believers who belonged to the party of the Pharisees stood up and said, the Gentiles must be circumcised and required to keep the law of Moses. Who said that in who said was doing that in Galatians 2? Yeah, then some of the believers who belonged to the party of the Pharisees stood up and said the Gentiles must be circumcised and required to keep the law of Moses. Who did Paul rebuke in Galatians 2 for that?
I don't know. I'm assuming Peter, right?
Peter, yeah?
Yeah.
So then, in verse 6, the apostles and elders met to consider this question. After much discussion, Peter got up and addressed them. Brothers, you know that some time ago God made a choice among you that the Gentiles might hear from my lips the message of the gospel and believe. God, who knows the heart, showed that he accepted them by giving the Holy Spirit to them, just as he did to us. He did not discriminate between us and them, and he purified their hearts by faith. Now then, why do you try to test God by putting on the necks of Gentiles a yoke that neither we nor our ancestors have been able to bear? No, we believe that it is through the grace of our Lord Jesus that we are saved just as they are. Right, so you can see that Peter's opinion is now different, right?
So Peter got rebuked and then he changed his opinion, right?
At the council, yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, yeah, I get the point. Yeah, sure.
That would be considered.
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing like we believe that the apostles made mistakes all the time, right? Like,
no, I'm not saying it's a problem.
No, I know, but the problem that the Catholics have though is obviously trying to show that there obviously are times where popes are rebuked because they do believe that Peter was the first pope, right? And there's also times in history where people like Pope Honorius, for example, or Pope Vigilius were rebuked for erroring. Right. So all of these things have happened. So we believe that what they're proclaiming in Vatican I is not accurately represented in the first millennia. It doesn't make sense.
You believe that the only case where they are infallible is when they are in the ecumenical councils, right?
When they're sitting on the chair of Peter, proclaiming faith and morals, very specific. Which, by the way, they don't have a list of those things that are ex cathedra statements. Just so you're aware. Right. They don't have a list of any ex cathedra statements. They don't know, they don't have that list anywhere. So they basically had the ability to cherry pick and put things in the bins that they want. Because then, if the Pope were to, for example, say something that seems heretical, they can just be like, "It wasn't ex cathedra, though."
I mean, the last Pope that died, didn't he say that all religions lead to God as well?
That's just something that they're reflecting from Vatican II, though. He said that because of the fact that he went to some universal religion conference, I think with the Hindus or something. I think it was. I can't remember exactly where he was. I think it was with some Filipino religion or something like that, or Indonesia.
Isn't that heretical to say?
And he basically was trying to he basically just called an entire heretical ecumenistic call to prayer in a sense. And he was just like, well, all of us are trying to seek God. And then of course the other religion's like, based. And then all of the Christians in the background are tearing their faces off what?
Just go and become a Muslim or like a Hindu based on that statement, right?
Yeah, that it all leads to Christ at the end of the day, apparently. So you might as well. Who cares? You might as well be a Hindu because there's no rules. There's no rules you got to follow over there.
Yeah, so the God of Muhammad is the God of the Bible.
You pick the path of least resistance, you'll eventually get to Christ anyway, right?
Right. I got a last question about Daniel.
What'd you get me?
I was. What?
Give me a tea.
Oh,
Thanks.
okay. You're not talking to me.
Can I have a straw? Didn't give me a straw? This is gonna be fun. You guys are gonna have to watch me spill this. This is gonna be fun. Thank you. Appreciate it. Stickler? Oh. Yeah, it kind of doxes me a little bit, so I'll put it over to the side. It's all good. I'll take it off. That's fine. All right, I ripped off the doxing part. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, okay. Pretty good. That was pretty good. I like it. I appreciate it. I do. Really good. Thank you for that.
Oh,
No, that's good.
Bryce.
I like that
So
tea.
first
That's good.
microplastics, and then we don't care about the turtles. Okay, got it.
Yeah, why would I care about the turtles? Like, what do they do for me?
Yeah, okay. I'll see how it is.
I was trying to think. Oh yeah. If only you didn't have to admit logic doesn't work for the Trinity to make any sense. I've never said that. I believe that the Trinity is entirely logical.
Yeah, so
how could 3 be 1?
How could 3 be 1? 1 plus 1 plus 1 equal 1? What? Yeah. GG, bro.
That's not logical.
bro. Yeah, Bryce, I got a question about the book of Daniel. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was, analyzing the book of Daniel, Daniel 9, basically to calculate the time of the Messiah.
And it prophesies about Muhammad in Daniel 2 and 7. Alhamdulillah.
No, that's not what I'm saying, bro. No. That's not what I'm saying, bro.
Okay, what's up?
What? Yeah, I was telling you that I was calculating the time of, the rejection of the Messiah according to the book of Daniel, Daniel 9.
Mm-hmm.
And we used Nehemiah as a pinpoint as well. I mean, yeah, I agree. It ended up being 33 or 32 AD. But I have a problem with the little horn in Daniel 7. Is that fulfilled, or is that at the end times?
We don't exactly know 100% if it's entirely fulfilled, because it also could be considered something conditional, right? So we don't have a conditional, basically just declaring that it's it's something that possibly has not been fulfilled yet, or it doesn't have to be fulfilled if certain things are met. Thank you. Or certain things don't happen, for example.
Yeah, because there are 2 little horns, one in Daniel 8, which is Antiochus, and one in Daniel 7, which is, according to Irenaeus, is the Antichrist. The one in Daniel 8 comes out from Greek, I'm sure, but the one in Daniel 7 comes out from Rome.
Yeah, it's more common to assume that like the Antichrist who comes like in Daniel 7 is referring to the Antichrist in the end times. Granted, we do affirm partial preterism, which is the belief that in 70 AD, when it's talking about the Antichrist of Nero, right? That would be considered the Antichrist in a sense, and so the Roman the Roman Empire, when it's referring to the Fourth Kingdom, I think it is, right?
The fourth beast is the Roman Empire,
Yeah. And so saying that the fourth beast, what does it say about it again? I'm sorry. I got to remember this. I haven't read this in a little bit.
It says that the little horn will come out from the fourth beast.
Yes, Emperor Nero.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm quoting Irenaeus that he believes that it's the same Antichrist that will come at the end times that is connected to 2 Thessalonians as well. So
I mean yeah, like it would be a typology.
Yeah, but in that case, you'd need to believe that, that the fourth beast will revive in a way by the descendants of the Romans at the end time, so that the Antichrist will come out from there.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, so it's not a heresy to say that, if you're a Christian?
No. It's just you do have to affirm, though, in a certain sense, that Daniel 7, in a general sense, is referring to the partial preterist position of that a vast majority of the revelation has already occurred there in 70 AD. Yeah,
but the full fulfillment is about the Antichrist. Is that what you're saying?
The entirety, yes. That's why there's some the ultimate fulfillment, yes. But there are obviously conditional fulfillments that reflect it. Like if you see, for example, the prophecy about Solomon, right? King Solomon, when it says that he'll sit on the eternal throne, did he?
No.
No, Christ actually ultimately fulfilled it, right? But it was a prophecy about Solomon.
True.
So same situation, right? There is a fulfillment that does occur in time, and then there will be something far past that will occur as well.
Yeah, so it can be like multiple situations at the same time, not necessarily one thing, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It could be conditional.
All right,
and
thank you, man.
ultimate. Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I mean,
Yeah, sure
it was
thing.
out for it.
Appreciate it.
I mean, I might come another time to ask you, different questions as well. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can come up here whenever, man. I'm chilling.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll go now.
Yep. See you later. What's up, Wi-Fi? How's it going?
Yeah, I just want to know if you had an argument.
Argument for what?
Just like an argument for God, like anything.
Is this actually Wi-Fi gospel?
It's
yeah. So like,
Is that a voice mod?
no, it's just my best Vor impression.
Wait, Bryce, I got this.
Wait, no, hold on. Your voice is not doing Vor right now, bro.
Wait, is it better now?
It's not doing Vor at all.
Wait, no, I know. That's why it was my best impression, but it's bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got confused. I got so confused. I was like, you got an argument? Yeah, an argument for the existence of God. Like the way that you gave me that, like I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually had to click on your page and be like, is this somebody freaking impersonating Wi-Fi gospel so that I accept him? Like I thought that's like what that was at first, bro. It was actually kind of crazy.
I got this, Bryce. Hold on. Hey, so Wi-Fi, you see a building? It obviously is a builder, right?
No, I have no evidence. I have no reason to believe that a builder built this building.
Yeah, like, so now we're being dishonest. So if I show you
So we're stupid, chat. So we're stupid, chat.
So we're stupid.
Yeah, but what do you mean? Like, what's the ontology of dishonesty?
Yeah, it would just... It'd be a transcendental.
Yeah, define ontology, bro.
Yeah.
We'll just have a define game.
Dishonesty doesn't have its own ontology. It's actually the privation of honesty.
Bro, get your apophatic out of here.
Apophatic.
You like talking about theology, Basil?
You said what?
Apophatic is just a philosophical term, bro. You're the one that's making it sound like he's being blasphemous. It's just a philosophical term from Aristotle.
Do you think that blasphemy can have a component of intent to it?
Yes, and I believe that he had no intent to blaspheme.
Fair enough.
Woo, point for tempo.
No, warning shots were fired, bud.
Wait, why is your name different on TikTok? Is that Jib?
Yeah, that's Jib.
Is that how you say John?
Bro, I accidentally named myself Joy. When I was saying my name on TikTok, like setting it for the first time, it auto corrected from Jib to join, and I clicked yes too soon.
L.
Yeah, that's funny, bro.
So now my name's just Join.
Well, look, you joined the live.
Man, I'm enjoying.
Yeah, basically advertising for Bryce. I'm like, hey man, hey guys,
for real.
Join.
Yeah, you actually got it from like one of those videos on YouTube where it's like top 10 ways to boost your TikTok live stream. Change your name to join.
Oh, speaking of that, everybody who's in chat right now, smack that like button and share the live to anybody that you think wants to have a conversation. For real.
Yo, I got a DM. I don't know if you want me to talk about it on this stream.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, no.
From what I was doing earlier.
Sure, why not? Just reveal it anyway.
Well, I mean, I don't have to say names or anything, but the topic... So, the topic isn't the New Testament. It's just, did Jesus claim to be God?
In the Bible?
Yeah. So it's not like it wouldn't be like, did Paul, like you can't use Romans, I guess.
Okay.
All right. I just didn't know I just wanted to be specific. Yeah. I guess he thinks like Paul said it, but not Jesus.
Okay. I mean, like, that's fine as long as like, like I can give a bunch of different things just from the Gospels. like at the end of the day. And so wait, does he also then concede that the apostles believed it?
That I'm not sure, but
You should ask him.
I can always ask. Yeah.
Because if he wants to only debate very specifically just on the statements that Jesus directly makes, I'm not doing that damn debate. That is really stupid. Because that's just destroying like all context like that's necessary for that debate to work out. In case anybody wants to know, by the way, I will reveal this. It's not confirmed that it's going to happen yet, but I might be formally debating Planet Peterson.
Really?
On whether or not Jesus claimed to be God. That's an easy W. And guess who his ringleader is? Guess who his ringmaster is? Deconstruction Zone. The goober
Yeah, you'll
himself.
always see him up on his live. He just parrots what he says.
Yeah, the goober himself.
Which I don't know if this is confirmed. Joel said it publicly though. I think Joel and Justin are having a debate.
Joel,
no.
like Joel is in like Thinking Institute?
Yes.
Oh man. I would like to see that, honestly.
Yeah, the same guy that declined one with me.
Why did he
You're
decline
just
it?
mean, bro.
Yeah, you're just a mean. You're
He's
just a
not your
meanie.
friend, dude.
You're
Come
a
over.
meanie head, schoolboy.
Yeah.
Are you guys really pearl clutching right now?
Yes. You're mean, bro.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're feminine.
Yeah,
See,
I mean, like,
that
so
just
there.
proved you're mean.
Yeah, so there's a typology, right? That's the feminine, the divine feminine, right? And then the divine masculine.
And you're owning that, right? You're saying that I'm the little pansy in my marriage, right? Like you're the divine feminine within your marriage.
Oh, who, me? I don't know. Ask my wife. She thinks I'm feminine.
I know Anna's in the chat right now.
That sounds pretty submissive, and I think that being part of the quote unquote divine feminine would be submission. So you know what,
Dude, it's not
sounds
submissive.
Like
I just have to ask permission to stream. What's the problem? I'm kidding.
Yo,
Guys,
Bryce,
you know Schoolboy once pushed me into a locker.
Tempo, I'm actually upset with you by making a joke about apophaticism.
Bruh.
Oh my gosh.
No, I don't think that flippancy towards theological terminology or theological topics is actually okay in any way, shape, or form.
Term, dude.
Yeah, but speaking from your paradigm, is it just pure philosophy?
With the way that I said it, it was pure. It
wasn't from his paradigm.
Like it wasn't from a spiritual or theological aspect, bro.
Does philosophy exist in a vacuum?
I think you're committing. I think he's actually committing a word concept fallacy. I think that's what Schoolboy's doing right now. He presupposed that it had to do with theology.
Yeah, I mean, when I said the joke, I just meant it as negative because you gave a negative definition.
My couch is very comfy to sleep on. Do you have a wife that kicks you out of bed, Octopus? Is that why you're saying that to me?
Buddy, we're on TikTok. You think people have wives?
That's not. Hey, people do, man. I think gospel. I think Wi-Fi gospel's got a wife.
Mic, buddy.
He's got a.
Keep your mic muted. Wi-Fi.
He's got a wife.
I have a wife, but she also I need to ask her permission to stream as well. So
amen. Amen to that one.
Bryce, so where you start flexing like Play-Doh?
I have a finance. Well, that's good. I'm glad you have money. I'm assuming you met fiance, but.
Yo, Bryce, how far are you from Nashville?
Nashville, Tennessee?
Yeah, too far?
Let me look. Why?
You're probably about the same length that I am, Bryce.
It's about one plane ride.
Why do I need to go to Nashville? Convince me.
I'm trying to get the squad out to DebateCon 6.
Debate? When is that?
November 15th to 17th, something like that.
I'll just fly out, bro. That shit is 11. That's an 11-hour drive. I'm just gonna fly.
Dude, I got a $175 round trip. I got a deal.
There's also a really nice Antiochian monastery out there too.
Yeah, no, I'll go to that. I'll go to DebateCons. Well, I'll try to, of course. If it's that far out, I think I can make that work.
Yeah, they haven't released the tickets yet, but they got the hotel, which I will pack as many ortho bros inside my hotel room to the limit where it's not. I don't know if I can say the word non-hetero.
We get in the penthouse? I'll get a penthouse. We get in the penthouse? We get the penthouse. Chat, we're
Hey
getting,
man,
chat,
if
we're
I'm
getting the
invited,
penthouse.
I'm in.
Wi-Fi is gone. His wife told him to get off.
His wife said no booking trips without my consent.
Oh, he's coming back up. Are you back?
Dude, I legit thought I got kicked by TikTok for saying that. That was wild. I don't know what happened.
I am TikTok.
All right, so I'm trying to get a schoolboy out there, right? And I'm gonna make him take a picture with Joel, and then I'm gonna do the AI thing where they kiss.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine because as soon as I pose for the photo, like if Joel doesn't actually assent to a formal debate with me, I'm just going to beat him to a pulp.
Yo.
Call to
Okay.
violence.
Okay.
Let's kick Schoolboy out real quick. Let's kick Schoolboy out real quick and come back.
Yo.
Casual call to violence on the live.
Neos Cabasilas stuff.
Neos Cabasilas type arguments, bro.
Obviously meant like in Minecraft.
Yeah, obviously.
No, in actuality.
We're gonna have a duel. Okay.
Bro. He's like, no, I'm dead serious.
He said the distinction between my hand and his face ain't gonna be real.
The only thing you'll recognize is his mustache.
Wait, you gotta leave the mustache intact?
What?
I don't know how you bruise a mustache.
So low IQ, I agree. He's not a high tier guy to debate, that's for sure. I don't think I've ever.
I'm being
actually...
sarcastic. For the chat, I'm being sarcastic right now.
Yeah, don't
not a violent
Wait, dog. I clipped it, and now I'm gonna give it to Cleve to Antiquity, and he's gonna be like, "So, do you Orthodox agree with this?"
Breaking news: another ortho bro decided that he wanted to call to violence against the Protestants. Whoopee! I didn't see that.
Wait,
coming.
point to the orb.
That's pretty
Dude,
much.
that was
That's
spot
exactly.
on, dude.
That's exactly, dude. Because like I've watched a lot of him, bro.
I mean, can we call out the like the softies that don't want to call out anything and they want to be non-confrontational?
In terms of what, me?
I didn't say that.
So then, what are we talking about?
That a Freudian slip?
That was a Freudian slip.
On whose part?
I don't know. Like, what was that referencing?
Just in general. I mean, there's a bunch of piety signaling people online that view debate as a bad thing, right?
Indeed.
So are they soft and non-confrontational because of that?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on in their head.
Then why would you think that I was talking about you, Bryce?
Huh? Well, because there was a direct situation that occurred in Discord where you did say that I was doing that directly. That I was being soft.
I think you have been in the past.
Okay. So then it was
towards people, and I don't think it's necessarily being soft because I think that you're actually smart enough and you actually are intellectually honest enough to have these conversations in the open and have these debates if necessary.
Yeah.
And I will stand behind you. You know, I hope you know that, like, I view you as a friend and I'm not being confrontational, but there is a line that needs to be drawn when people are shown to have dishonest behavior and there is an acceptance and a passivity that is granted to them where they can foster an environment in which they can sow division and they can sow their own nonsense and it goes unchallenged and it is actually permitted because exclusion to some extent becomes permissive, does it not?
Say that again?
Exclusion, a lack of exclusion becomes a permissive environment, does it not?
I would say it depends on the situation, yeah.
Okay, do you want to explain that for me?
Yeah, I mean, like if it's just like an attempt to reconcile, for example, or there is a
okay, and there
common
needs
You gonna let me
and
talk?
there needs
or?
to be bond. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll listen.
So if there's an active attempt to try to bring people together rather than by default causing division, then I would say that exclusion should be an absolute last resort with a beyond reasonable doubt.
Okay, so if you were presented with evidence that someone is intentionally being deceptive, do you think that is grounds for someone to be excluded?
Yep.
Beyond. Okay, so when there's evidence of somebody that is shown that they can play good cop or they're good at being the nice guy,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they're left to fester and sit around
Mm-hmm.
and make their arguments, and yet there's still an affinity by some people towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Should they still stay around, even in that situation where there is evidence that they are being that way because of deceptive reasons?
No, and that's why we have plenty of people banned.
Okay.
I've never disagreed with that. I give people multiple chances normally for certain situations where people are personally wronging me. But because I do believe that a lot of the...
Hold on. I know this may seem... I am going to interrupt you on this point. You've been very gracious to many people.
Mm-hmm.
Against the advice of many of your brothers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm just putting that on record.
Yeah, publicly. Yeah. That's dope. Just trying to think about what I was going to say. Honestly, I don't remember what I was going to say now because I got interrupted, so I forgot.
Look, the table's running away.
Oh shit, the table's leaving. My mind right now. Yeah, I just believe that like hard evidence is needed for certain actions to be taken is all, and that's all I was saying in the whole situation going on. So instead of
I agree.
instead of a Puritan witch hunt.
No, I agree. And sometimes in open conversation in a public space that can be used as pure like hard evidence, right?
Yeah. Somebody publicly admitted to doing something that personally deceptive against me, and that they admitted to doing something that was bad to
Do you think that someone whose intentions were to be deceptive would ever engage in that conversation?
I mean, no, I don't think that they would in a direct sense. Like, I mean, I would say that if somebody is deceptive, they probably will try to avoid admitting things.
They'd probably try to avoid confrontation, right?
Yeah. That doesn't mean though that, like, you know, because you have to determine that somebody's deceptive in the first place. That's the thing that's in question.
Absolutely. And there are no accusations going right now, but we're just setting a standard, right?
Yeah, definitely doesn't seem like there's not any accusations.
Of who?
Nobody at the moment.
So it doesn't seem that there are no accusations of nobody. That's what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay. We're on the same page.
What the fuck is going on right now?
Pick a side and stick with it.
Okay, schoolboy, you can go fuck yourself if you're gonna publicly shame me. I don't know what that was for.
I think he's talking about the Pixar leaked in Discord. I won't do it again.
Oh, that was you, Gospel?
No. I was trying to make a joke.
I was about to say, I don't know how it is. You're not a mod, so I got the joke. Don't worry. All good. Yeah. Fine. Okay, something like that. Let's be friends. Thank you. Thank you
earlier.
Wi-Fi. That's legit, man. I don't know what that was. No, I'm chilling.
No, I want to be friends.
Can we log into Fortnite and emote hug?
That'd be base, but I don't think I have the hug emote. Don't you have to have the same one?
Nope. All you gotta do is let me initiate. You just gotta follow my lead.
Oh, for real, yeah. No, I won't really talk about the context too much, y'all, but there was stuff in our mod chat that was leaked or whatever in Orthodoxos, and people started burning our mods at the stake, thinking it was others. So. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. Not really sure like what that was supposed to be, but But I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about a lot of that on public forum. That's kind of something I've been trying to avoid. So I guess it happened anyway. I don't know what that was. I bet it was basil.
Wasn't that the way to go about that?
Me too, Brett. I think it was basil as well.
Damn it! It got me. Chad.
Had to have been.
I've been looking up Discord like. I don't see. This is why I don't like TikTok, man. I don't even know what I can say on this thing.
Spell the word.
Hack.
I don't know.
Isn't that so weird? Like, can't talk about anything.
Yeah, they're pretty strict. I'm not gonna lie. They're pretty strict.
Unless for some people, because I was literally watching a Planet Peterson video where he was arguing on TikTok, which is that's what set off the whole thing of me asking you to debate him and stuff. And he was using crazy words, and I was like, how is this possible?
I think there's ways to get around it. I think like the crazy words. I think it depends on the way that the audio is coming through, though. That's usually what's necessary. Is that if somebody like says crazy words and it's coming from your coming from your audio rather than coming from your microphone directly, then sometimes it will just see it as receiving bad words, so then it won't get you banned because of that. Like if I played a video on YouTube of somebody saying like the N-word, I have a higher chance at not getting banned because I have the plausible deniability to say like I didn't know I was going to say that.
He was using the R word pretty heavily.
I don't know how he was getting away with that. So, I don't know.
But speaking of that, let's I got a question for you. I got two questions for you, Bryce. One is about orthodoxy, and one is about scripture. All right, so scripture first. This is one of the topics Planet Peterson was talking about. I think it's Numbers 31, where it says, at least in the NIV, it says that if a man R words can I say like the V word?
Yeah. So the R word. Oh, sorry. So the R word.
Go ahead. You know what I'm talking about.
In Exodus 31, that doesn't the way that the word is referenced in the modern times is not the way that it was used back then, right? So the word like in Hebrew simply just means to force yourself into someone. That's all it means.
Cool. That's the way I've been answering it.
Which even if there is a consent, you are still forcing yourself into someone, right? So either way, either way, it doesn't automatically denote that. They're reading that into it with modern terminology to make that the case, to try to discredit obviously what's going on.
The one I was referencing is either Numbers or Deuteronomy. I'm pretty sure it's Numbers. But
Numbers 31.
Then you brought up Exodus 30. Yeah, and then Exodus, there's a parallel verse and the NIV translated it as seduce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seduce.
Makes
Like
sense.
seduce is not something that's always a negative connotation, right? Like, I mean, technically speaking, like, I married my wife. Like we obviously seduced each other, right? Like we
Did
tried
you,
to
or
get
did she
you.
get you?
I'd say it went both ways. Granted, the first time that I told her I liked her, she totally freaking friend zoned me, though. To be fair, she did friend zone me completely.
Nice.
So,
And then in context in Numbers, the verses directly before it give us a situation where it's obvious R word, and the man gets unalived.
yeah.
And then it's the very next verses that talk about the other one, so it's obviously talking about different things.
Yeah, there's different so the word in Hebrew, right, can mean many different things depending on the context that's applied, right? So if there is a certain situation where it says you will be put to death for this, right, and then it talks about it, normally you can say, okay, that's probably talking about forcing yourself onto somebody in the modern sense, right, in more of a modern sense. But when it's saying that like you just have to pay the father and you have to marry them, that's just referring to fornication, bro. That's just saying that two people consensually got together and now they need to marry because they've defiled each other. Because they like to quote that one. They like to quote that one and be like, so if a man R words him, then she has to marry him. That's crazy. No, not what it's saying.
Well, the NIV says it, so.
I mean, the NIV is also a horrendous translation and takes verses out of the Bible. Matthew.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, dude. Matthew 17:21 is not even in the NIV. Look it up.
The next one is, sorry, my wife just tickled my feet. Is that grounds for divorce?
Yes.
All right, I'll tell her when she gets back up here.
Okay.
So the next one, speaking of marriage, let's say in the Old Testament, two people get married, the husband passes, and then the next of kin marries the woman. That's permitted biblically, right?
In a general sense, yeah.
I heard Father Josiah Trenum say that it's orthodoxy does not permit this today.
I mean, so I love Father Josiah Trenum to death, but he also does hold a little bit of a different opinion on like the way that orthodoxy proclaims things like that. It depends on your diocese. That's an economy, right? So that depends on the way that the bishop proclaims how you should go about your marriage. That's something that's within the church, so the bishop would be the one to tell you how you should handle the rest of your marriage. Or handle your post-marriage situation where your spouse dies, and should you remarry, your spouse dies, and the bishop would be the one to tell you whether or not that's actually a good idea or not.
Is there like a canon law somewhere on that?
There's a couple different canons and different councils in the first millennia. Like in the first millennia, they were very strict about the way that marriage worked, so that only in cases of sexual immorality was divorce allowed in any sense, and also you were never allowed to marry a divorced woman either. So women were never allowed to be remarried if they were divorced for that reason, because they were considered, I guess, can't even describe it. Adulterers, right?
Hello.
How's it going, Abby?
Hey. I was joining I disagree with your prompt.
Okay, which one?
I'm an atheist. I don't think Jesus is God.
Okay.
I was just curious about, I think there's quite a few scriptures that would disprove an all-loving God.
Are you going to show me things like Numbers 31, Deuteronomy 28?
I mean, really all of the Torah in the Old Testament. You can look at what happened, with the Amalekites. You can look at what happens in Deuteronomy with slavery. There's just a bunch of things that happen in the Old Testament that I would say is not something an all-loving God would do.
So when you say what you think an all-loving God would not do, do you carry the objective interpretation for what it means for God to be all-loving, or you just personally think what all-loving means?
I would consider, if we're saying that something is all-loving, it would mean to have harm reduction, right? So I wouldn't encompass the slaughtering of infants, for example, as all loving. I would not encompass that in that definition.
Yeah, of
and that's
course. I
something
mean,
that
from your own worldview, you may see obviously something like that on the surface to be absolutely ridiculous and not loving in any sense. But obviously, from our paradigm, if we were to say that God commanded those people to be slaughtered like the Amalekites in 1 Samuel 15, then the infants, for example, being taken out of this world to go be with God would be considered something that he's providing as a mercy to them. So from our worldview, it wouldn't be considered.
Well, why would he create them in the first place then?
So that they can still have the ability to gain free will, but because of the fact that human beings took that away from them, God took them back to himself.
Wait,
everybody
so
still deserves to be able. Everybody
created the babies just so they could be slaughtered?
No, he didn't create them to be slaughtered. God doesn't do everything.
Well, doesn't he makes every person, right?
Yeah, he makes every person with the intention, obviously, that they would have a full life and come to him naturally. But he also made human beings to be secondary causal agents. So if a person decides to go against God's will and try to remove somebody for the world. What?
I said, then why would you unalive babies?
That would be considered something that God is granting as a mercy to those children so they don't have to deal in the fallen world that was at the time of 1 Samuel.
That's what I'm saying. Why if he knows he's going to unalive them, why create them in the first place?
Because to exist is better.
That's a horrible...
Because to exist is better than not exist.
What's the benefit of a baby being born just to be slaughtered by a sword?
It wasn't. You did it again. It wasn't born to be slaughtered. You're presupposing that God birthed him to do that.
Didn't you say that God created us all and he knows everything?
He knows everything, but he doesn't do everything.
Well, if he knows what they're going to do, why would he create individuals who he's just going to slaughter?
Because he still knows everybody in terms of their own heart. So if somebody were to die really early on and he still knows that their heart would be pure because they're infants, then he would know that if they were slaughtered.
Right, but then that's what I'm saying. Why create them in the first place?
Because to exist is better than to not exist.
Even for a baby?
Yeah, because even if a baby dies, they still exist. They don't cease to exist.
You think it's a loving, just thing to bring a baby into a world to slaughter them, and then
you didn't. You just did it again for the third time. You didn't bring them into the world to be slaughtered.
Well, I mean,
that wasn't the purpose of them being created.
Did he know when he created the Amalekite people that they would be slaughtered? He knew that.
He knew that over time they would. He actually talks about that in Genesis, that he was going to try to give the Amalekites over 400 years to try to repent.
I thought it was Exodus that he said that.
I think it's in Genesis, slightly after Abraham's time.
I thought the Amalekites. I thought it was the reason that the First Samuel they slaughtered the Amalekites was because of the Exodus. The Amalekites attacked the Israelites coming out of Egypt. I thought
yes, but in Genesis, when it's talking about those people still existing, that he said that he would give the Amalekites 400 years to repent of their sins before casting a judgment on them.
Right. So he knew that they were going to. He knew this was going to happen, and he allowed it anyway. And then he killed them. Or unalive them.
Yeah, and
that doesn't seem very just.
Again, what would be your standard for determining what's just and what's not? I have a standard for that.
Yeah, just basic empathy, logic.
Basic
reason.
empathy and logic. Logic proves morality.
Yeah, I think you can ground morality in logic.
Okay. So if we're talking about things being logical, would you say that the betterment of the human race is logically something we should go for? Or the continual population of people?
Yeah, well, because if I'm looking through my worldview, naturalistic worldview, if there's no arbiter, like no mind, like willing everything,
Yeah, you're
it
the
makes
arbiter of truth.
much more sense. Yeah, exactly. But if there is an agent that's allowing things to happen, that's when things like cancer, natural disaster, genocide and the Amalekites, that's when it becomes immoral because there's a mind behind it.
Well, I mean, you say that there would be a mind behind it because something's being done, but like I said, like what your standard for morality is based in your own personal interpretation of what would be considered good and bad. And your earlier thing that you said that would quote unquote disprove God being all loving, disprove meaning that it would be objectively false. You're giving me your subjective interpretation on what's good and bad.
Wait, sorry. One second. Okay, sorry. Say that again.
Yeah. So the original claim that you made when you came up here was that you believe that you can quote certain scriptures that objectively prove that God is not all loving, meaning that there would be something, a fact that's independent of your opinion that would show that thing would be the case, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but then you just admitted that your entire morality is based in your own personal interpretation. So then how does that follow?
I said you can do it objectively. You can ground it in empathy, and in logic.
How do you know what's considered empathetic and what's not? Does everybody have the same understanding of what's empathetic and what's not?
Yeah, based on moral
Really?
discourse. So, yes.
Moral
so
discourse?
when you have two agents that are engaging in a moral discourse, the not the ability to not impede on someone else's free will or their well-being is going to be beneficial for all, and everyone universally does not want to be no one universally wants their will taken away from them.
Yeah, nobody wants their will. Yeah, nobody wants their will taken away from them. But what if somebody's will? What if somebody's will is that they want to basically unalive people?
That would be contradictory to their own stance because they don't want that done to them.
Yeah, but how would that be a contradiction? That would just be hypocrisy. That's not a contradiction.
Well, no, it's contradictory because they're acting. If they're,
it's not a contradiction. It's not a P and not P.
Well, yeah, because if they're doing something to harm someone else, and they think that's the morally good thing to do, but they wouldn't do it onto them.
They don't think it's morally good. They just don't care. Their will is that they want to unalive people. So then they don't care that. Again, under whose authority?
Objectively, I think that's wrong because
what do you ground the objective term for that in?
Again, in empathy and
but
harm
different
reduction.
people. What the harm principle? You're going to go with the harm principle argument?
I'm not familiar with it, but maybe. Sure.
Yeah, you're saying harm reduction, right? Do you believe that what the definition of harm has changed over time?
Possibly. I would say that, and overall, I would say that suffering or harm onto someone is pretty consistent. Okay. An action you don't want done. You don't want to have done to you, or yeah.
And so, regarding the harm principle, when we're talking about things being, for example, harm versus helpful, right? Over time, that has changed in human history, and that's undeniable. That there are things that used to be perfectly fine to do because they believe that they were more helpful than harmful back then. And then nowadays, there are certain things that are now considered much more harmful than they were prior. And you're saying that we can ground things being objectively incorrect in a changing mutable standard, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, because I like
The
to
harm
lay an
principle is
example
changing.
out, I would say no, I would say that it's consistent.
It's not consistent. You can literally label any type of thing that used to be morally admissible back in the day, where everybody agreed that
I would
things
say
would be
that
going
was
that way.
morally incorrect. I
Yeah,
would
to
say
what
they were
standard?
to the objective standard I'm talking about.
The modern standard?
No, just objectively harm reduction. Even it doesn't matter the
Harm
time.
reduction.
If
That's the
people
thing
were
in question.
engaging-
The thing in question is the harm principle. You're saying that you're using harm reduction. I just told you that people back in the day universally used to agree on different things being harmful that are now harmful today.
right, and I would say they were wrong. Like that
On what
just
standard?
Because it's an appeal to
What standard?
a society back then.
And what is this static, unchanging moral principle that you are appealing to?
I'm talking about harming other human beings.
The harming is the thing in question. The terminology of what is determined as harm has changed over time. So what is the static, unchanging principle that you are saying that those people back in the day were wrong for?
I guess I'm confused on your question.
So what you're actually doing is that you're saying that they are subjectively wrong because harm is defined as a different source now. The what is considered harmful is not what was considered harmful by everybody back in the day. And I'm asking you because you're saying, no, those people back then were objectively wrong.
So for example, if we looked at something like slavery,
Mm-hmm.
although back then maybe that's something that they would do, I would say objectively it was wrong then, it's wrong now, even if at the time it was something they engaged in.
Again,
it was
but people
morally
didn't think
wrong.
that though back then. They thought it was more helpful than it was harmful back
Yeah,
then
and
because it was
yeah.
economically
Right, and I'm
supportive.
saying it's wrong. Mhm.
Yeah. So then what?
I'm
So then
saying
what
it's
is the
wrong.
what's the static, unchanging standard you're appealing to?
I'm sorry, I'm not confused.
Yeah, what's this objective standard, this objective, unchanging standard that you are appealing to determine that the people in the past who determined what harm was are incorrect?
The harm.
The harm?
Because harm was being done to, yes, because
That's the
harm was
thing
being,
in- that's the thing
for
in
example,
question.
with so for example, with slavery, we'll just take that as a standard. So, back in the day, people engaged in slavery. They thought it was okay, morally okay. Obviously, I would say they were incorrect. It was harmful. It harmed people then like it would harm people now. So the harm remains the same. Owning someone as property is harmful to that human being.
But back in the day,
So
the people universally accepted that it wasn't harmful. Right?
It doesn't matter.
So then what is the
that doesn't
unchanging
matter.
harm principle that you're appealing to? Where is this? What is that grounded in?
I'm saying, do you think slaves back then were not harmed?
Asking me that question is not, we're not going to get away from this topic because that's
No,
completely
I'm
irrelevant to
trying to
what I'm
understand
trying to
what you're
ask you.
saying.
No, I don't follow the harm principle. I don't follow the harm principle because the harm principle changes. So that's a changing standard. That's my problem, is that you're saying that it's objectively wrong because they harm people, but harm itself, what is considered harmful universally has changed over the course of human history. So then you're saying the objective standard can change.
I disagree with that. I disagree
So
with that.
then what is the unchanging standard that you're appealing to then? Where is this supposed true harm? Where do you get it from?
Okay, I'm trying to break it down to an example so we can narrow it down. Do you agree that no matter the time...
Me agreeing with you doesn't fix the definition. I'm trying to ask you for a grounding for what harm is.
I'm trying to lay it out for you.
You're just asking me questions. That's not laying it out. I'm asking you to actually tell me what the source is and what the actual standard that you're appealing to is to determine the static thing that you're judging the people in the past for committing.
Human beings, an agent or humans, when you're impeding on their well-being. Period.
And so
that throughout time, consistently, whether it was back then and you were a slave and it was acceptable to be a slave, that person was still harmed. In today's time, the same thing. If they were a slave that same harm would be done. That harm did not change.
Mhm.
They were still, their well-being was infringed upon.
Yeah.
So that harm did not change.
Yeah, so the standard of what is considered harmful, according to people, has changed over time. So when what you consider well-being has changed. So what has changed? Yes, it has. What is considered well-being has changed over time because different people believed different things about what is considered a well-being of a person. Universally, people used to believe that certain things were perfectly fine.
Do you agree that people can have subjective opinions about things? It doesn't change the objective truth of harm.
I don't believe that the objective truth of harm, if it's not grounded in something that's transcendental to human beings itself, that it's possible to have that objective standard. That's my argument. Because all you have to do, because you're just appealing to your own definition of harm. What if somebody? Let me put it like this: What if somebody comes to a different conclusion about what harm is to you? Then what?
I would say there's a standard. I'm trying to think of a good definition for it. Anytime that you are acting on someone or infringing on someone's well-being.
Okay, cool. So if somebody comes up with a different, if somebody has a different definition of what harm is,
we agree that universally every single person's going to have a threshold.
Me agreeing with you doesn't change. No, me agreeing with you does not help the argument at hand, because this is referring to the actual standard for it itself, not whether or not I agree with you. It's the standard. So you are saying that you gave me your definition and your standard for what harm is. I'm telling you that if somebody came to you and gave you a different definition of what they think harm is, what if they think that harm is only to me, but I can do whatever I want to other people? What makes them incorrect?
Because they would be they would be contradicting themselves. No, it would be contradictory because they would not want that done.
It wouldn't be a contradiction because it's not. They would not want it done. Do you understand what a logical contradiction is?
Yes, P and not P.
So that's not a P and not P. Saying only for you and not for me is not a P and not P. That's just that's hypocrisy.
Okay, fine. We can. Fine, I'll grant that.
Okay, so what's wrong with being a hypocrite?
Well, it wouldn't, it's not
harmful?
No, it's just, let me think how to say this. If you impede on someone else's well-being, and you harm someone else, yet you do not want that done onto you, that to me is you're contradicting yourself in your worldview, because you are not.
If my worldview states that my morality only matters to me, how am I contradicting myself?
Say that again. Sorry.
If I say that my worldview is that I only care about what happens to me, that's my worldview. How am I contradicting myself?
Because you are.
I only care about myself.
Well, if you only care about yourself, then, but you don't want that done onto you, correct?
I only care about what happens to me. I don't care about what happens to anybody else. Yeah, but that's my worldview, though, is that I only care about what happens to me. Nobody else matters. That's not a contradiction. That's not a P and not P. That's just me being a hypocrite. So then what's wrong with me being a hypocrite?
Wait, sorry. I'm getting a little lost in the conversation. Can we bring it back to... because we're talking about why I think your God's not real.
Yes, and I'm showing you why your standard for morality, saying that my God is not real because he's mean, doesn't work.
Okay.
You're literally saying if God real, why God mean? That's your argument.
No.
Yes, it is.
I'm saying that if you... Okay, well, let's just lay out examples here. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's just...
It doesn't matter what I think. I'm asking you about the standard.
Well, I'm just asking a question to clarify. Do you think it is a just thing to unalive children?
If there's specific cases in my paradigm where that person, for example, would receive eternal life for being taken out of this fallen world? Yeah. Because they would have eternal life in the world of no pain whatsoever.
You think it's okay
Look,
to
you see me,
unalive children?
yeah, look at that. You see that W reduction that you just did? You trying to get a clip or something?
No, I'm not.
Then
I'm
you
not
know
trying to
that,
get
yeah. Okay, so then when I'm telling you that there would be a reasoning behind why that would be considered morally just, because of the fact that eternal life and no pain whatsoever for eternity is literally infinitely better than being on this planet. So if that is the case, then if something like that happens to God,
I think that's an absurdity because,
How's that
okay, do you
absurd?
think that we, like, for example, should we stop trying to cure cancer, for example?
why? How does that follow?
Because if you think that it's a better solution for children who have cancer to be unalive because they go to a better place.
No,
than
because you don't understand our position. Our position is that you should strive to stay alive because of the fact that you find salvation in Jesus Christ and that he still provided us this world to live, have children, for example, get married, have friends, all of these different types of things, to understand things before going to heaven. So with that being said, if there was somebody being taken out prior to that, that doesn't mean that everybody should just basically stop trying to stay alive. That doesn't follow.
But you just said that it's okay in some cases to unalive children because they go to heaven.
Yeah. So the reason why that I said that is because if those children, if, for example, if God knows that those children basically were going to have horrendous lives, or that they were going to basically repeat the same cycle that the Amalekites were committing for hundreds of years, that then therefore bringing them to heaven, because to exist is to be better than not to exist. How many times do I have to tell you that?
So, wait. So you think that? So in your worldview, it's your God's like perfect plan is I'm going to create these beings because it's better for them to literally exist on Earth for a year or however old those children were.
He doesn't create them to stay alive for a year. He doesn't create them to stay alive for a year. He doesn't create them so that they die early.
But
Doing it again.
But he knew he was going to unalive them. He said it back in Exodus.
And just because he knows that something like that is going to happen doesn't mean that God actually wants that to happen. But he does things according to the way that humans act.
So he does things that he doesn't want to do?
He does things in terms of the state of the affairs of the world. So the way that he treats people is based off of the hearts of those people. What? How does that follow?
If he's all powerful, wouldn't everything go to his will?
Everything goes to his will. And so if he does something that is considered just permissible for the time, that is going towards his will in the end. That doesn't mean that everything that's ever done.
Does it mean we're a means to an end for him?
What? I mean, his will is to basically combine heaven and earth together and everybody live in harmony in the eschaton. So if his plan of having to commit these acts to the creation based off of the hearts of those people is something that he has to do in order for these people to understand. He has to do that. He doesn't really have to do anything, but he does it because he loves his creation and he wants to actually bring them to the end times.
So he loves his creation so much that he creates them to slaughter.
You're really, really good at rhetoric. I'll give you that. Your rhetoric is absolutely S tier because you actually somehow whittled out of your incapability to show an objective standard for morality. So I've answered your questions, and now we're going to go back to that because I've answered your questions regarding this topic. I still want to figure this out.
I'm just trying to have a good conversation.
I understand that you say you're trying to have a good conversation with me, but you keep trying to put me in a box, basically saying that I support unaliving children, just in a general sense. Showing that you're being disingenuous with me. No, I'm not. You're being disingenuous with me because you're actively attempting to show that I'm evil in some way, shape, or form for affirming certain things. When I told you that there is a reason.
Of showing that you're evil.
Okay, so then when I gave you my position about how eternal life is better than being, for example, on this planet in this sense of having to suffer bodily corruption, right? If I told you that it is objectively better in a moral sense for a baby to not have to go through that, in that case, because of what may happen if they grow up in a certain sense, then yes, it would be morally permissible for something like that to occur. And then guess what you say after that? So you support unaliving children. That's what you do.
That's what you're
That's
saying.
a box. That's literally
you're
you're rhetorically putting me in a box. That's disingenuous.
You just did that to yourself.
No, I didn't
do anything.
You did. I'm reading you like a book. I'm reading you like a book. I literally know what you're trying to make an argument for. So now that I have answered all of this stuff, I still want to understand what your actual standard for good and bad is. And you said the harm principle, right?
I said it's just empathy.
Empathy. Define empathy.
The ability to understand someone else's situation.
The ability to understand someone else's situation. And so do different people have different abilities, for example, to do that?
Yeah, I would say some people are more empathetic than not.
Okay, so empathy is also subjective?
I'd say there's levels to it. Like some people engage in it more than others.
Yeah. So like how much do you need to have for you to be objectively right?
To be like the most objectively good.
Yeah. What, like how much empathy do you need? Like what, like 60, 70% empathy?
I would say, I don't know if there's a percentage to it. I would just say that to be like the most empathetic would be to do the least amount of harm onto anyone.
Mm-hmm. And harm has changed over times in terms of the principle and what it actually means for you to harm somebody. Right? Because yes, it has. You saying that hasn't changed is absolutely ridiculous to say. Because back in the ancient times, what is considered harmful, like for example, torturing somebody to get knowledge from them about like different like armies or something like that from the military, where people would
equally as harmful as it would be today.
It's for the well-being of the nation.
I don't agree. I think
what's your standard for that?
Because it's impeding on their well-being.
Why should we follow that?
Because it's the betterment for society. If we went around,
this is never ending.
Other people,
this is an infinite regression. Why should we go for the betterment of society?
I don't know why you're getting so frustrated. I'm just
because you're being disingenuous with me. I'm normally pretty calm.
I'm really not being disingenuous.
Okay.
I'm trying to have a very honest conversation with you about my moral standards and the critiques of your worldview.
Okay.
I just feel like you're getting a little icy.
Fine. I'll be a little bit quieter. So in terms of, you say for the betterment of society, why should we strive for the betterment of society?
Because I think that it leads to the best outcomes.
How do we determine what the best outcome is?
Well-being, like a life preservation.
And you just went in a circle. And now you're back to square one again. You went in a circle.
How did I go in a circle?
Because the first thing, when you defined empathy, it was to seek the well-being or to understand the situation of a person. Why should we do that? You said it's for their well-being. So now you're back to square one. So what's the standard?
That's just what empathy is. I'm confused how that's circular.
Yeah, because you said empathy is the ability to understand somebody's situation. And I said, why should we do that? And then you said, because it's for their well-being.
Yeah.
So why should we strive for people's well-being?
It's for the betterment of society.
Yeah, no, hold on. Because I have the clip for this. You said the well-being of people, first off.
So you're clipping.
I'm streaming. I'm literally streaming.
Okay, that's fine.
So everything's recorded.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's just funny because you said I was clipping. I'm literally just
because the way that you're asking me questions seemed like you were trying to get me to affirm something, to be like, Christian affirms that children unaliving is okay. Look at this.
I don't have socials. I don't post things. I literally just join lives to have conversations.
Okay. So let me keep describing the circle here. The well-being of persons. That was what you said in terms of why we should understand what people want. So then you said for their well-being. I said, why should we do that? You said for the betterment of society. Why should we strive for the betterment of society? Because it's the best outcome. How do we determine the best outcome? It's for their well-being.
No, I said for life preservation.
Why should we support life preservation?
I think it's just an innate, it's instinctual that we want to
What's your argument for that, though?
live.
Because that's a claim. That's an awesome claim.
I would say it's intuitive. I'd say it's
Intuitive.
evolutionarily intuitive.
Evolutionarily intuitive to
That,
stay alive.
we all like. Yes, I would. I would say that universally we have a drive to want to stay alive and also want to.
I want to stay alive. I agree.
Yeah.
But why should I make sure that everyone stays alive?
Because it's the betterment for you, and if you want to stay alive and we live in social structures, you need the social units around you to also thrive. We are not individualistic creatures.
I mean, there's plenty of situations of people in history that there's plenty of people in history that don't follow that. This is a circle. There's people that live in the woods their entire life.
Yeah, I would not say that that's something that's not going to be like sustainable or have longevity.
What's your argument for that?
The only reason that evolution. As Homo sapiens, the way that we survived is in social structures. That's like our key component is tools and social networks. That's how we survive.
Yeah, and that's how we determine our morality, right?
We need social structures to even procreate.
And so, would you say that if we were to, for example, enact something that would make us evolve further, that we should follow that?
Say that again, sorry.
Yeah, should we, like, if there's some form of like way that we could make evolution occur faster, right? Do you believe that morally we should move towards that?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
what
so
do you mean evolution?
Well, because you made the argument that morality is something that we can ground within evolution now. So if it's something that we can ground within evolution, why should we not have breeding programs?
What do you mean breeding programs?
Yeah, like like basically breeding programs where if somebody's born and like they're mentally disabled, we just unalive them.
Oh no, because I don't think that's advantageous for anyone.
Why not?
Again, that's because it's causing harm. That's my whole thing is harm reduction.
Harm.
You're harming a moral agent.
But then in that case, like for example, wouldn't it be evolutionarily better for society if we were to only breed the strongest human beings?
No, I disagree.
So we should leave the weaklings.
No, evolutionarily speaking, it will naturally through natural selection, we naturally evolve to like remedy parts of our DNA or genetic structures that are no longer viable. That doesn't mean that if we have individuals that have any kind of like abnormalities or whatever, that we would eliminate them because they are now. If you're a sentient moral agent, again, this is what I was talking about with empathy in a social network or social structure. We need to preserve life and do least amount of harm.
The least amount of harm, yes. And the argument for why we shouldn't do harm is what again? I'm going to show you this.
Because.
Go ahead.
What?
Yeah, why should we not harm?
What'd you say?
Yeah, why should we not harm?
Why should we not harm other people? It's advantageous for the social structure for our society or for our species to survive.
Is a social structure objective as well? Is that standard objective?
I don't know what you mean by that is it objective. What do you mean?
I mean, like
that?
if there's like a social structure or a society, for example, that believes that we should have a eugenics program, like what makes them incorrect? It's for the betterment of their society.
Oh, because it would be causing harm to the individuals that are.
Why shouldn't we do that again?
Because it would be harming them.
Oh yeah, why should we not harm people in this society? Why should we not harm people?
Because empathy is what drives us as social creatures, and if you're an empathetic person, you don't want to harm people. And empathy is what drives us.
Their empathy, but their empathy and seeing other people's situations is that they're thinking the long game, right? They're thinking that Well, if we just make it to where people can't be born anymore, if they have like a mental disability, or there's somebody who is born in a wrong way. What?
That's unempathetic.
Yeah, how?
That would be going against the idea of not harming people at some
Yeah,
point.
but they don't believe it's harmful though to breed their race, for example, to be perfect. So what's the problem with it?
Sorry, I'm confused. Say that again.
Yeah, so like if there's, for example, like a social structure or like a race of people, for example, that decides to basically do a eugenics program where they actually unalive the people that are weak and get rid of them, to where when they have more children, they come up stronger, right? What is wrong with that?
Because it's harming individuals.
But they don't think it's harmful. They think it's better for their society.
That's what I'm saying. I disagree.
What's your standard?
My transcendental property that I'm grounding this in is empathy.
Empathy, and you told, so it's so empathy is transcendental.
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's something that you can ground morality in.
And did you admit earlier that empathy is something that different people subjectively apply?
No, I said that there's like levels of it. Like people can engage within empathy in different levels. It doesn't, but doesn't mean that the like empathy in of itself is like a subjective thing.
Yeah, but how do you know? How do you know what the true, unadulterated, perfect amount of empathy is compared to somebody who's doing it terribly?
The least amount of harm done on, like doing the least amount of harm onto others.
Yeah, but harm itself is for. Yeah, but like if somebody's empathy in terms of well-being, like I gave you with this hypothetical society, is to breed higher grade people. That's their empathy. They're thinking about the future people.
But I'm saying I disagree with that. I don't think that's empathetic.
Yeah, I know. So what are you grounding the proper empathy in again?
Because to get to in a eugenics, like the society that you're proposing, they are not utilizing optimal empathy because they are harming other individuals to obtain whatever goal they think is best. So I would think that's contradictory, or I guess, hypocritical, I could say.
Mm-hmm. But what's wrong with being hypocritical, though?
I don't think it's advantageous, or I don't know.
You don't think it's good for society?
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole point. Is I'm
but
saying that
they do believe it is.
For the individuals that they're harming. So.
Yeah, but they believe it is.
That's fine. But I would say they're wrong.
Okay. Yeah. And what are you appealing to say that?
Empathy, harm reduction.
And what is pure empathy?
Perfect society.
What is pure empathy? What is that? Where do I get it? How do I get it?
How you get it?
Yeah, where are you deriving the definition of pure empathy from?
I mean, are we talking like semantics, like the definition of empathy, or?
I'm asking you, because you're saying that those people are not being empathetic. So then the definition that you're giving for what it...
Yes.
Okay, yes, so what is, when I'm asking you, where do we get that from, right? Is that, I'm basically giving you a critique like I would give a Platonist right now. Because without even knowing it, you're pretty much doing a Neoplatonic form argument. By saying that there's this perfect, empathy, right? That we are grasping at, and that people imperfectly grasp said concept, right?
Sure, I would say you can engage in different ways to engage within people, and
Okay, and so with that being said, how do you know that the form or the pure empathy is actually being grasped?
Because if in your say with your example of the eugenics, and you're saying they think they're doing the most empathetic thing by creating the best society, in that they are harming other people, that's going to go against what I would consider the most empathetic thing to do, because you're harming people.
Thank you for giving me your imperfect, grasping at empathy, but how do we know that that's what empathy itself is?
I feel like you're going in circles with me. I feel like you answered the question.
No, because when I asked you, how do we know that somebody who is imperfectly grasping at the form of empathy, that they're doing it wrong or correct? You gave me your own definition. You gave me your own imperfect. You gave me your own imperfect grasping at empathy.
Well, I mean, you asked for my definition.
Okay, so then you admit that you can't understand actual pure empathy. It's just opinionated.
Well, you could say that anything is opinionated.
Okay, so
any
then
definition that you give.
You just conceded your whole worldview is subjective then.
It's not, we're talking about the definition of something, not how we're grounding it.
Yeah, but like, how do we know that, like, for example, how do you know that your interpretation of what pure empathy is actually pure empathy?
Okay, let's just pull up a definition of empathy.
I mean, I don't care what other people also define empathy as. Do you not understand my critique?
Well, I mean, no, I guess I really don't.
They also have imperfect definitions of empathy. Different people have different definitions of what it means to actually be empathetic. Different philosophers throughout time have made different arguments for what it means to be empathetic. The Stoics with virtue ethics, right? In terms of, or like the hedonists, for example, empathy was to give somebody the most pleasure possible. So again, where are you getting empathy from? Well, how do you know that your definition of empathy is actually the true, pure, unadulterated empathy that you ground everything in?
So, okay, we'll just take it down to the basics. Empathy just being the ability to understand and understand someone else's experience, right?
That's the thing in question. How do you know that is the pure empathy?
I'm so confused by that question.
How do you know that that's the purest understanding of empathy? What if somebody posits an entirely different understanding of empathy?
I think someone can be wrong.
And how do you know that they're wrong?
Because if their definition of empathy encompasses harming anyone else, I would say they're not engaging in the in true empathy, because they're harming somebody else.
The person that's making, so you're making an argument that empathy necessitates that you have to reduce harm, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that that's what pure empathy is?
Sorry, ask that one more time.
How do you know that your definition of empathy is what pure empathy actually is?
I don't know how else to reiterate this to you. I feel like you keep asking me the same question.
Yeah, because you're not answering it. You're just saying I don't understand the question.
I've answered it a million times.
You gave me a definition.
But that's what you're asking me.
And
for.
That's the thing. And that's the thing in question, though. How do you know? You know that your definition of empathy is the pure empathy that you're mapping that onto. It's a very simple. This is why Plato. This is the reason why Plato. This is why Plato went insane. This is the reason why Plato went mentally insane before he died.
It's the most logically consistent. Like, for example, I would say that Yahweh, to bring it back to why I joined the live. Hold on. To bring it back to why I joined the live, I would say, for example, Yahweh does not engage in empathy.
What is your logical argument for it to be logically coherent? You said it's the most logically coherent. So which law of logic are you using, and what makes it the most logically coherent?
I'm not using, I guess, I'm not using like excluded middle or non-contradiction, anything like that. I'm just saying it's consistent in the fact that if it's the true definition of empathy being to, sorry?
It's consistent? That's what you mean then?
Sure, yeah.
Consistent from what? Well, it's the opposite of the consistency. So like, what would be considered somebody being inconsistent?
I want to try to rein this in because we're running in circles. I really came to join to talk about God, and I feel like we're getting on the moral.
And you're critiquing God morally. So then I am then putting into question that you're incapable of that. I'm saying that you're incapable of doing that.
No, I've given my standard.
You have not given me an objective standard.
I've given mine. I said that
you've given an opinion.
And
empathy itself. This goes back to the same thing. That's in question. Your definition of empathy. How do you know that that's pure empathy?
for the sake of the conversation, I'll say it's subjective then. I have a subjective moral standard.
Okay,
That's
so it's just your opinion that God is evil then, right?
Yeah, I can say that.
So then how does that disprove God?
Because if your God is okay, so I'm going to ask questions this is an internal critique for you, so I'm going to ask you a few questions.
No, hold on. You're running again.
Well,
You're running again.
I'm not trying to
You
run.
are.
I'm really not.
You admitted that your worldview is subjective. You admitted that your worldview is subjective completely, just for the sake of the argument. So how can you make a subjective moral critique against my view and then say that objectively disproves my faith? How does that happen? How does that follow?
Because the in your worldview in the Bible, the way Yahweh is depicted being all loving, all knowing, all kind, is going to be contradictory to the actions that he partakes in.
Okay, and so is that your opinion?
Sure, I can say it's subjective.
So how does it disprove? So how does it objectively disprove my religion?
Because it contradicts itself.
Your opinion? No, it doesn't, because the thing that you think is being contradicted is your opinion. That's bad. Your subjective opinion of what is good and bad is the thing you think is contradictory, right?
Is it a loving thing to murder a child?
Dude, I'm not. Look, she did it again. First off, I have to kick you because you said the M word, so come back up. But dude, this is like actually brain rot. You admitted that your worldview is completely subjective. You can come back up here if you want, but you said a bad word. I can't have that on the live. Okay? You admitted that your worldview is subjective, and that your opinion of what is good and bad is then therefore a personal opinion.
I feel like you're running.
No, I'm not running because your critique of me is entirely subjective. I'm showing you that what you're doing does not disprove my faith.
If I hold to a subjective moral worldview, I can still do an internal critique of your book and show you that like an all-loving God. And that's why I'm trying to ask you, because I'm trying to grasp your worldview. That's why I joined. So I'm trying to ask you if you think it's a loving act to unalive children. That was my first question. If you agree that it's loving because you think that they go right to heaven, then I'd ask you, that's why I followed the question, okay, then should we allow for children just to be unalived on this planet because they go right to heaven? You said no. So is it just because God does it, it's okay? Or what's your standard?
So my standard is that if God commands something, and that because God is considered the moral truth in of itself. So if God does decide to do something in that case, we have the faith that thing was done with the absolute utmost authority and morality possible. Therefore, if you disagree with said thing, then that's considered your opinion, right? Because you would just be, no, it's not subjective, because I'm appealing to an objective standard of morality. I have something to ground that in. So then you admitted earlier that your worldview is entirely subjective. So with that being said, you subjectively decide, nope, it's not. I just showed you that it's not because I have an unchanging standard. So I don't. Where does he change?
Do you think slavery is always wrong?
What? God doesn't like slavery. He allowed slavery because of the fact that the people had to do it. The people at that time, their hearts had to do that. So God condescends to us.
So he told them they can't eat pork, but then he was like, but you also can own slaves. Like he could tell them not to eat pork, but he couldn't tell them you can't own people as property.
At that time, first off, pork at that time especially was unaliving tons and tons of people. So him telling people not to do that was for the betterment of those people in general.
But what about the people that he allowed to be slaves?
Again, first off, back in the day, slavery, especially like in biblical aspects, unless you're talking about like the chattel slavery of the pagans, which in that case also we could talk about that if you really wanted to. But in terms of like somebody being taken into indentured servitude, those people there were so many rules against those people. Do you know why God established those rules?
Like, you mean Leviticus?
in any of the rules, when rules are being given about what you can and can't do to anybody, including slaves.
I mean, he's all powerful. He can do whatever he wants, right?
What does that have to do with what I just said?
I
asked you why
he set the rule.
I asked you, do you know why he set the rules?
No, tell me.
He set the rules because prior to the rules, they were doing very evil things to their slaves. You understand?
So he's
making it a lot harder. They were contending on the way that they were acting towards their slaves. So he made a lot of different rules.
God's laws are contingent on
God's laws are contingent. Look, you literally are just, dude. Look at what you're doing, and you wonder why I'm getting mad. Do you think that's what I'm trying to say to you? Do you think that's what I'm trying to say to you? Do you think that that's what I'm trying to say to you? In all honesty, do you think I'm saying my God is contingent?
You just said that you asked me why he made the rules that way, and you said it's because of the way the people were.
No.
So then I said, okay, so then laws depending on people, it's contingent.
No.
Which I would think is silly for an all-powerful God who can make any law he wants.
No, God allowing something for human beings because of the way that human beings are at that time doesn't mean that God morally needs things to be that way. Do you understand?
Sorry, say that one more time.
So if God allows certain things to happen because of the hearts of certain people, he allows human beings to do certain things because of the way that their hearts are. How does that determine that God changes himself?
Because
do you know anything about metaphysics?
Because he said, if you're saying that he gave certain laws because of the way people's hearts are, he also gave laws. Okay, do you agree that people...
Dude, they're agreeing again. Okay. These aren't arguments. Just asking me if I agree with you on something is not an argument.
I'm just trying to have a dialogue with you.
If you were trying to have a dialogue with me, then you would actually stick with the thing that we were talking about. Because your critique, you're not understanding. This is an epistemic whole.
About the same thing.
No, it's not. Because all you're look, even if I were to say, just for the sake of the argument, if I just say, yes, God said slavery is okay. Slavery is okay, just for the sake of the argument. Now what? What are you going to say?
Okay, then I would say that's absurd. That's an absurdity in your worldview.
Oh.
If you think that
is it objectively absurd?
I don't know if I can say objectively absurd.
So you just think God is mean then?
It's an absurdity. Yes. If you're saying that an all-loving God at the same time also thinks it's okay to own people as property, and if you whether your world
my definition of all loving is not the same as yours.
Hold on. That's why I was trying to ask you earlier I was trying to get your standard of morality so I can understand whether or not you agree that owning people as property is good or bad. Because if you think owning people as property is bad, then it contradicts with a God that is all loving who allows that.
No, I'm showing you the problem. For the sake of the argument, I am granting you that it would then be considered okay, just for the sake of the argument. Now what?
Then I would say that's an absurdity. I would say that's why Christianity is a silly worldview. Because if it takes you to a place where, if it takes you to a place,
what's the objective standard that you're appealing to again?
If you think slavery is okay, then that's a silly worldview.
Thank you for the appeal to emotion. What is the objective standard that you're appealing to again? Because you admitted that your worldview is subjective.
I told you earlier that I have a subjective moral standard.
So how does that objectively disprove my worldview? I'm still trying to figure that out.
Because it's an internal critique.
That doesn't because if I simply just say for the sake of the argument that all loving doesn't mean what you think all loving means in my worldview, if my definition of being all loving is just doing the maximally great option, and the maximally great option, especially at the time of the Israelites, was that they had to do things like that for a condescension of God. If there's a bunch of different nuances to what it would actually mean to be all loving. It's not like one little simple thing that you can reduce everything down to. There's nuance to everything and semantics. So if I simply just say that that's included in being all loving. Okay, so if I were to say, again, for the sake of the argument, that God is still all loving, even if he permits something like that, how is that a contradiction?
I would say that's an absurdity.
Again,
because
how?
I would say that it's there because there is no love, in at least my understanding of love, in owning human
your own opinion again?
Do you?
It's
Then I'll
if
ask
it's
you,
objectively contradictory with your subjective opinion of love.
Then you tell me. Do you think owning another human being
Whether
as
or
property
not, I agree with you or not. That's why I'm saying it doesn't matter for the sake of the argument.
It's really weird that you won't answer that question. Do you think that owning another human being as property is loving?
I believe that if that person, for example, like, because in our view, right, in the first millennia, that was something that was done all the time in order to get people out of debts. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. So you think it's loving in Leviticus 25 when he says the slaves are to come from the nations around you. You can bequeath them to your children, your property for life. We're not talking about the Hebrews that are indentured servants until the year of Jubilee. We're talking about the nations around them, slaves for life, chattel slavery.
Yeah, I believe it was better for those people to be chattel slavery than to be pagans.
Okay, that to me is exactly why your Christian worldview is insane.
Okay, and what's the objective standard that you're holding to determine that?
Because I can objectively say slavery is wrong.
Oh, with what?
Owning people as property is harmful and not a good thing.
Oh, and the standard that you're using for that is what again? The subjective worldview that you conceded?
Sure, it can be. I can say it's subjective, but do you disagree that slavery is always wrong? Do you disagree with that?
No, I said in certain situations it's fine.
Then my point is proven.
I'm showing you the problem with this. I say for the sake of what's going on that there are situations where it's fine.
That exactly. So your worldview.
So how does that objectively disprove my religion? You see how this works?
Because your worldview leads you to the conclusion that sometimes owning human beings as property is okay.
Okay, and what's the objective standard that you're appealing to show that it's objectively absurd?
I told you. You keep asking.
You just admitted my worldview is subjective. You just admitted that my worldview is subjective, or that your worldview is subjective.
I think yours is subjective.
No, because I'm appealing to a static, unchanging system. Stop trying to run from this. I already answered in a very honest manner with you.
It is subjective because no matter your worldview changes, whatever God says, you appeal to. So if you
because
think
it's an objective standard,
is okay, then you're appealing to a subject.
He's not a subject. Do you know what the definition of a subject is?
An agent?
No.
A mind?
No. A subject is someone who can be acted upon. God cannot be acted upon. He's not a subject.
Wait, so you don't think God is a mind?
He is a mind. That doesn't mean that he can be acted upon. He doesn't have any passive potency within himself.
Does he have thoughts and opinions?
Thoughts and opinions. Okay, so I'm assuming you haven't studied anything on our metaphysics.
I mean, you can laugh and stuff.
No, because your critiques are ridiculous.
No, I can grant you. Sure, if you want to Phil bro it out, that's fine. If you have
this
a better
not
understanding
Phil,
of logic, it's
fine.
called
knowing my position.
No, what I think is absurd is that you're literally arguing that it's okay to own people as property sometimes, and then you're also saying that your God is the utmost moral standard, yet that utmost moral standard is okay with slavery, and that to you is okay. That to me is an absurdity.
Okay, and so how does that objectively disprove my faith again? Let's try again.
Because I think that's an absurdity.
You think?
I think if you have to say slavery is okay sometimes,
good
that's
appeal
absurd.
good appeal to emotion. So what's the objective standard?
That's it. I feel like I've won that. I think you conceded. Yes, because you just agreed that slavery sometimes is okay. That to me is a worldview I'd never want to hold.
Yeah. So your objective disproving of Christianity is saying, I think you're wrong. That's your argument?
Yeah, I would say that it's contradictory to say that an all-loving God would say
your definition of all loving depends on your current subjective worldview, by the way.
I also think your worldview is subjective, so I don't.
It's not because because we're not appealing to a subject.
Where's the contradiction? What's the contradiction having a subjective worldview?
What's the contradiction?
Subjective morality.
Because you're trying to judge me objectively. That's a contradiction.
What do you mean I'm trying to judge you objectively?
You're claiming that the judgment that you're giving me, saying that this thing is wrong, the thing I believe in is wrong, objectively. But you're saying, I feel like it's wrong. I think it's wrong. But then when I ask you what the objective standard is, you appeal to the other subjective thing that you're already affirming to. So it's a circle, first off, and it's not actually reaching the point. Because the argument, you said you were going to disprove my religion objectively.
Yes.
And the way that you disprove my religion is by saying, I think that God is evil.
Or God is contradictory.
He's not contradicting.
You that
I disagree. I deny your definition of all loving.
Your God is contradictory.
I deny your definition of all loving.
So you're right.
Because it's your subjective opinion on what that means.
But that's where I take it as like that's just a reductio. Because
That's
if you're saying that you're saying that it's loving to own people as property, because you're saying that an all loving being also thinks it's okay to own people as property. That isn't. That's absurd.
And would you say that your definition of all loving is objective? The objective definition of all loving.
Bro, I don't know why you keep running. I think you're running to objective and subjective because you recognize that you're...
because when you make a claim that you can disprove my religion, if you make a claim that you can disprove my religion, that means that you're going to objectively disprove it, right?
Yes, because
so how are you doing that?
I'm doing it right now by showing you that you think that you have you have a moral standard, yet your high moral standard includes owning people as property is okay.
And the thing in question is whether or not that thing is okay. So again, you subjectively don't like that, right?
Sure.
So then how is that objectively disproving my religion?
Because it's, oh my God, I don't know how, we're going in circles. I've answered this so many times.
Okay, go ahead again.
To clarify, again, this is an internal critique, so I need your clarification. What is your definition of love? What to you is an all-loving being? What does that look like?
An all-loving being would be somebody who is seeking the totality of betterment for his creation.
Perfect. And you think that the betterment of his creation is sometimes owning human beings as property to do free labor for someone else, and you can beat them with a rod as an Exodus. You think that is a betterment.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. That's the reductio. That's the absurdity.
Where's
that
the absurdity?
To me is because that's not that. If you think love is the betterment of someone's creation, but at the same time, the betterment for a creation is them being beaten by a rod and being owned as property, that contradicts itself. That is not the betterment for a human being. That's not love. Period.
Again, your definition of love is what again?
I don't know. I can't, definition of love would be just
so you know that that's not loving, but
what? Oh, I'm trying to give you a definition. Wanting the best for a human being, wanting the best for them, wanting them to thrive.
Wanting the best for someone to thrive.
Yes, wanting their best well-being. And I would not include that in wanting the best for them. I would say owning them as property and beating them with a rod, until to the point of death, is not for their well-being. So that would contradict the idea
and your
of love.
Objective standard for that contradicting love is what?
What do you mean?
Yeah. So you said that's your definition for love. Then you say it contradicts what is going on.
Yeah, because slavery, because you yourself
it's contradicting your definition. So what's the objective standard?
You said yourself, I am showing the contradiction in what you said. You said that an all-loving God wants the best for his creation, yet your all-loving God, you think the best thing for his creation is to, one, create babies that he slaughters.
He didn't do that. Look at you doing it again for the 5th time now.
Sure. he allows people to be owned as property. He mauls children with bears. Like
Yep.
these are
Do you
not
want
the
to talk
for
about that?
his
Do you want to talk about that?
creation.
Because you obviously haven't read the context behind that verse at all. If you think that that's what you think that says, this is like some like Reddit tier.
Man,
This
the
is
prophet.
some Reddit tier stuff, man. Do you even know what the word "young boy" means?
Do you want to give? Wait, are you going to make the argument that they were like young men?
Do you know what the word means? Nayar in Hebrew.
It's young boy.
You want to bet?
Sure. Yes.
All right. Let me go ahead and show you all of the other sections of the Bible where that same word is used.
And I'm sorry, before you do that, well, now you can do that, but while you're pulling that up, whether they're young men or boys, you still think either way, it's the betterment of his creation to have them be mauled by bears for making fun of a prophet?
The context behind that verse, by the way, is it says that there was over 42 people. And as we know, these people were pagans who were basically yelling the worst slur humanly possible at him and harassing him. And so they were also contextually trying to get him to worship their God. So God would be considered protecting his own prophet. It says specifically, Dr. Stephen DeYoung, specifically in the book on the book called "God is a Man of War," on page 109, he says, "When the she-bears emerge, then it is not to slaughter children for their impropriety, nor is it to avenge Elisha's honor. Rather, these bears emerge to protect Elisha and to save his life from the ancient Israelite equivalent of a violent street gang. While no total number is given for these young individuals, that the she-bears maul 42 of the number means that it was more than this. Yahweh protects one faithful prophet, and when he is confronted and surrounded by a hostile pagan gang intent on forcing him to offer sacrifice to their gods or lose his life."
So you're all loving God who wants the betterment
Protects
for
his
creation.
prophets. Yes, he protects his prophets.
Protects his prophet by mauling.
Hello?
Bears, like one of the most brutal ways that you can go.
Yes.
That's
Abby,
an all-loving God.
would you unalive a group of people breaking into your house to unalive you?
If someone was trying to take my life,
You'd probably unalive them?
is that what you're asking?
Yeah, would you unalive them?
If someone was trying to take my life, I would defend myself. Yeah, right. But were they trying to kill the prophet, or were they just making fun of him?
Hold on, my mic just died. I gotta plug in my...
Said unalive.
Plug that in. Hold on. Audio is... Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay, hold on. Switch my device. There we go. Speak again.
Hello?
Hold on.
There's a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to... Okay, how about now?
Hello?
Yeah, okay. Working now on that side. Let me make... Both of my...
Sure.
Okay, right. Anyway. There. Yes, contextually speaking, it would be referring to that as well. Because of the things that were being... contextually, at least, the people that surrounded Bethel at that time period, they weren't Israelites that were going and doing things like that. It was these specific pagans who actively attempted to unalive Israelites every chance that they saw them. So that is historically what was going on at that time. So then, if that type of thing was being enacted, then that was what was being enacted.
So you think it's an all-loving act to have them be mauled by bears?
I believe he was all loving. Yeah, because he was protecting his prophet. Absolutely.
Yeah, again, I think this is an absurdity. I think that's
again,
a reductio.
You still haven't provided an objective standard for that to be absurd objectively.
You keep saying that, but I'm working off of your definitions here.
Yeah. So I told you what would be considered all loving, right?
Yeah, you said all right. Yeah, you said, but it would be an all loving God will want the betterment for all of his creation. Are those the boys or whatever you want to call them, were they his creation?
Say again?
Were those boys his creation?
Yes, but they were hostile Gentiles.
Okay, right. So the most loving thing for his creation is to, again, like that to me is an absurdity.
Should he have let Elisha die? Would that have been more morally permissible?
Can you show me the verse? Can you read the verse out verbatim?
That's historical context to First Kings. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's multiple different verses that talk about the people that lived around in that time. I'm not going to walk through 15 different verses talking about the people around.
My understanding and reading of that verse and that passage.
Yeah, you've probably read that verse.
I know the passage.
And what's the passage actually about?
I can't remember what the whole passage is about. I just know
but
that
you remember the bear mauling, right? Yeah. But not the actual story.
Do you want to read it? Let's pull it up.
The entire thing?
Yeah, I mean, if you, I would show me. Okay, then if you know it so well, show me where it says that those boys were threatening the prophet's life.
I mean, like, I can start looking for some stuff for you, but it's all over Second Kings. I don't know what you want. Like, what you want me to pull up every verse that talks about the pagans?
Well, because your claim here is that his life was being threatened by the boys. So show me that verse.
Does it need to be a specific verse saying Elisha was physically threatened? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, if that's the claim.
Okay, I gave that as a contextual. No, it's not. I gave you a contextual argument, and you're asking for a specific thing to be stated verbatim, which is, by the way, called a verbatim fallacy.
So your argument is that
are you conceding that you made a verbatim? So you are conceding that you made a verbatim fallacy, then?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so then why are you asking for the direct wording?
Because you're stating that the reason that it was the just punishment for these boys was to unalive them by bear was because the prophet's life was at risk when they were making fun of him for being bald. So I'm asking you.
Yeah, so again, you don't understand Hebrew. Even though that in English it translates to baldy, even in Hebrew, even though that it translates to baldy, that's not what it actually says in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's basically the equivalent to the N-word.
Oh, so a slur, great. So that means mauled by bears. Okay, got it. But it doesn't sound like his life was at threat, and you haven't shown me.
Let me put you in a similar situation. If 42 people came up to you that hated your race.
I'm asking.
No. You're gonna. I want you to answer this hypothetical with your morals. If you, yeah, it will, because this is literally what happened. If there is 42 people that come up to you, they hate your race and they're slurring at you constantly, and pressing you, right? Would you feel threatened by that?
Sure, I would not unalive them.
So these people that are actively pressing you and slurring at you.
But no, I would not unalive. No, if someone is slurring at me, the appropriate response is not to take their life. And if you're saying an all-powerful and loving God, the only option he had for them saying slurs to a prophet is to maul them by bear, that's not an all-powerful, smart, or loving God.
Would you say that, for the sake of like a hypothetical again, that if, for example, a Triple K member approaches an African American person and he's calling them the N-word and pressing him, would you say that man would feel like his life is being threatened?
Possibly, but it's not. Again, I wouldn't say that person has the right to unalive the other person.
He has the right to defend himself, though. Yeah.
Is there an immediate threat on the other person's life? Like he's going. Possibly. So you have yet to show me in scripture where the boys were going to unalive the prophet.
Dom, I'm not really. Who muted you? Did somebody mute you? I didn't see. Oh, honey, don't mute Dom. He's on our team, I promise. Sorry. Say that again.
Yeah, so,
get him out of here. Sorry, I was joking.
I don't. Again, you haven't shown. Oh, sorry. What? I meant. I think I cut someone off.
You're fine. So for the yeah, so if I were to basically so if I were to say that he was being loving to his creation by protecting his prophet, what is the issue with that?
Because there was no in the passage. You've yet to show me a verse that his life was at threat.
That's a verbatim fallacy yet again.
Just because you haven't shown me the passage where his life was at risk.
Because you're expecting a literal thing to always be thrown into the text. That's a verbatim fallacy.
Well, yeah.
You need a very specific thing stated in order for something to be the case. That's a verbatim fallacy.
If your claim
that is historically what it has always been interpreted as.
If your claim is the only way that God could protect this prophet was by unaliving these boys with bears, you're going to have to show me in the scripture where it says his life was at risk. Because that's not what
that is a verbatim fallacy. Because I'm giving you the interpretation that is historically held to. No, I'm simply just holding. I'm simply holding to the historical interpretation of the text, and you're personally reading it with your atheistic presupposition that it was bad.
So you need like the goggles of God to understand it.
The goggles of God. No, I just actually believe that the interpretation of a text should be from the one who wrote it.
Right. So again, you
like to personally interpret the scripture. You like to personally interpret it with your own moral presuppositions.
No,
and then assume that you've objectively disproved it. Verbatim. It's just flying off the page.
I read it verbatim, and I never at all in that script read where his life was at risk.
Yeah. So you're reading it verbatim, right? So you're getting, I'm assuming that like the interpretation is just flying off the page to you and you're just getting it.
Reading the words as written, yes.
Reading the words as written. And how do you know that the concepts match the words? How do you know that like just because you're reading like a page of something, of somebody saying something, that contextually or historically it means the same thing if somebody were to say it today?
Can you again? You've for the last time you have failed to show me. You keep saying that.
Do you not understand that I don't have to quote unquote show you anything because you don't have an objective standard? That's what I've been talking to you about this entire time. Your critiques are entirely based on your own personal opinion, and you're telling me that there's an internal contradiction within my worldview. It's not, because your definition of all loving is your interpretation of what that means. Your definition. Stop talking. Your interpretation of what all loving is your own opinion. Do you not understand that? It's your own definition. So then you're not giving me an internal critique. You're externally critiquing me with your dumb subjective worldview again. You understand?
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, you have failed to show me.
Yeah, just run away from that. I just showed you that you're being disingenuous, but okay, go ahead. What's next?
You're a feisty one.
Yeah, I don't like disingenuous people. I'm sorry.
I'm not. I honestly think you're disingenuous, because this entire time so far, what I've gotten out of your worldview is you think an all-loving God who wants in your words, wants the best for his creation, is also okay with slaughtering infants, unaliving children with bears, owning people as property. And to you, that's love because God did it. That's a subjective worldview, for one. Your morality is completely dependent upon what God's will is. You don't really hold any moral compass of your own, because you yourself said sometimes slavery is okay. I'm just going to take that as a complete reductio to it's an absurdity in your worldview.
No, because I believe that that's part of our worldview, as then being loving in those situations.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that.
So what is your objective argument to prove that wrong? You still haven't given it. You've given me, if God real, why God mean. That's been your whole argument.
No, I've shown you that your God allows slavery, so he's not a good person.
Oh, thank you. So again, this goes back to you admitting that your worldview is subjective. So you saying he's not a good person doesn't mean anything. Because you just don't think he's a good person. So how does that objectively disprove me?
Honestly, This is exhausting. I feel like I'm going in circles with you, but I feel like
it sucks holding to an impossible view. I get it.
yes, yours is horrible.
Mine's coherent.
You yourself said that slavery is okay, and at the same time, you also think that's the most loving thing to do.
Yeah,
That
I gave you my definition of what all loving means, and it doesn't contradict what I said.
It does.
No, it
so
doesn't.
you think that owning someone else as property is the betterment for that human being?
That person in that situation, it would be beneficial for them in that context.
That's an absurd thing to say.
Okay.
I disagree.
I'm simply just granting all of this for the sake of the argument to show that you don't have a real argument.
Do you think that let's look at all the hypotheticals. Instead of owning these people as property, why couldn't they have just come into the community, been given granted land and treated just like the other Hebrews were treated? Why were these people treated worse?
Because the people that were enslaved, like the chattel slavery verses, those people were actively attempting to destroy the Israelites. So then they were taken under slavery after war.
Right.
Yeah. So it'd be the betterment for them to be under an Israelite, under one true God, instead of Molech.
Why not just assimilate them to the culture?
They did, actually. Have you ever heard of the sojourner? That's all over the Torah.
They were still slaves. I'm saying not as...
Yeah, but the people that were slaves were also offered to be removed from the slavery if they were to accept the one true God.
No, they weren't.
There were multiple... Do you know what the sojourner is?
No.
Have you ever heard of the sojourner?
No.
Okay, the sojourner is all over the Torah, and it's referring to a Gentile who decides to start worshiping the one true God. They then become an Israelite.
Wait, can you show me the verse that says that if the slaves that were to come from
that
the nations
goes
around
for
them,
literally anybody.
Yahweh,
it says anyone.
Okay, can you show me the verse?
Okay. Got Exodus. I'll read a couple of them. Exodus 22, verse 21 says, "You shall not wrong a sojourner." By the way, a sojourner is a foreigner who is currently in Israel. And any human being is declared as a sojourner if they are a foreigner in Israel. You shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Exodus 23, verse 9 says, "You shall not..." Oh, it's the same exact thing. Sorry. That's telling to a different set of people. Leviticus 19, verses 33 to 34 says, "When a stranger sojourns to you in your land, you shall not do him wrong. You shall treat the stranger who sojourns you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you are strangers in the lands of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." Deuteronomy 10:19 says, "Love the sojourner, therefore, because you were the people that were in the land of Egypt as sojourners." And so a sojourner is literally just any single person that is in the land of Egypt. It says they were not permanent
settlers, but rather those dwelling in the place for a limited time.
Mm-hmm. And the sojourner is able to worship the one true God. Hold on.
So where is the verse that would say that the ones that were put into slavery would be freed from slavery?
Say that one more time.
So you're saying treat them, but I'm saying where? Well, then it would contradict itself, right? Because for one, you're still owning them as property. In Exodus, you can beat them.
Yeah, you're presupposing that's you're doing it again. You're just automatically assuming that if it says to love somebody, that disciplining somebody is automatically no longer loving them because of your own moral worldview.
You think that? But that's what I'm saying. You think a loving, an appropriate disciplinary action is slavery for life?
What are you talking? No, I already just told you based off of like how we have that position. Let me see. Okay. Deuteronomy 23:16 says, "You shall not turn to his master, a slave who seeks refuge."
Sorry. Hold on one second. Hold on.
If God bad, why hurricane?
I want to read this real quick as well, because God had an interesting stance on the way that slaves are to be kept as well. Because if you look at Deuteronomy 23:16, it says, "You shall not turn to his master a slave who seeks refuge from his master. He shall live with you in any place he may choose among the settlements in your midst. Wherever he pleases, you must not ill-treat him."
Sorry, I have to go in like just a couple of minutes.
So
I cut you off. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you think about this? Deuteronomy 23:16 says, "You shall not turn to his master a slave who seeks refuge from his master. He shall live with you in any place that he may choose among the settlements in your midst. Wherever he pleases, you must not ill-treat him." What is it saying here?
That you can. I'm not.
If a slave seeks refuge from his master, meaning that he runs away from his master because he believes he's being ill-treated, that you cannot return him to his master. What is God saying there?
Wait, read it again. Sorry.
"You shall not turn to his master a slave who seeks refuge from his master. He shall live with you in any place that he may choose among the settlements in your midst. Wherever he pleases, you must not ill-treat him."
Sure. But were there still people owned as property?
So do you agree that God is allowing a slave? So do you agree that a slave, or that God is allowing slaves to run away if they believe they're being ill-treated? Yes or no?
Sure, I can grant that. I don't think that it goes against the idea that he still gives laws on how to own human beings as property. Like an all-loving being would never give the law of owning another human as property. It would. Why not just say all of them get to come into your land and treat them as your neighbor? Why? Like he's contradicting himself.
No, he's
But
not.
that's literally what he just read.
I literally just, bro.
Okay, but then why would he
This is
say
ridiculous.
in Leviticus and no, hold on. It's not because it's
maybe because your moral standard, like Bryson's been trying to say for the past hour, is flawed, and you don't actually know what all loving would do or be,
right.
or what it
So
even
you're
looks like for the past hour. That's what he's been trying to say.
That's fine. That's fine. Again, what your your argument is then that it's
Can you
all
repeat what I just said?
this about the sojourner?
No.
Or sorry, I don't know which one. Sorry, I don't know who said that.
Yeah, what I literally just said about your tracking issues.
I'm trying to say what you're stating about like the thing with the sojourner. It contradicts the idea of owning people as property. So I can grant, if he said that, that's fine. That I grant that. I also still agree that in the Bible, he gives laws on owning human beings as property. That's the issue here.
Okay,
Even
what do you think owning people as property means?
One sec, Tempo. I just want to put this out there, by the way, because I talked about the sojourner
Wait,
being
sorry,
able to come to God.
Hold on, I keep getting. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm getting.
Okay, well, I'll read this first real quick. Deuteronomy 23, verses 10 through 15. You actually can see where the rule is instantiated, even though that he is not an Israelite, since he, the slave, came because of the honor of God, after whom Israel is named.
I'm so sorry. Are you going to be on for a little bit longer? I have to go quickly for a little bit.
I normally get off at 11, and it's 10:56.
Okay. I'll come up another time. I really got to go, but I enjoyed the conversation. I feel like it got spicy, but I enjoyed it. But I do got to get going. Sorry.
All good.
All right. Have a good night.
Mm-hmm. So, let me go ahead and read these real quick. Right. Deuteronomy 23:16 says, "As they go to war, a slave might run away to their camp, and he is not an Israelite. If a slave decides to run away from you because you took them captive, you don't chase after them because they're not an Israelite. Who cares?" That's literally what he's saying. Then in Deuteronomy 10 through 15, there's a section that it's included that says, "Even though he is not an Israelite, since he has become of the honor of God, after whom Israel is named. And if the Israelite now were to turn the slave to his master, he would constitute a desecration of God's name. Therefore, you should not ill-treat him." So abuse of a slave reflects poorly on the nature of God. Yes, they are prisoners of war, Saint Vengeance. Correct. That is literally what they are. Because God literally makes the rule in Deuteronomy 23:16 saying that if they run away, don't chase them. Let them go back to wherever they are. Because the people that were kept as property, the chattel slavery, were usually the people that had their entire nation taken over by Israel and had nowhere to go.
Yeah, but you can just do whatever you want to your slave, dude.
I know, right? You just do whatever you want.
Hey, by the way, from her standard, she she can't. She would have to say immorally, it's wrong to punish your kids by what's it called, the belt.
Yep. If a servant should run away upon deceit, or upon malice, or upon any other such cause, it was a sin in him, and that thievery were not good, nor allowed by God. But the meaning of the law is that it was God's will that there should be some privilege for the servant as willing to yield themselves unto his servitude, and that because they lived under the paynims, they were not their own men, nor had such liberty. And therefore, when they turned into the better way, God granted them this exemption by way of privilege. Wow.
Also, when she was talking about beating a slave, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that verse isn't a prescription for beating a slave as punishment.
No, it's saying if you are to do this. It's simply
And
just
what I
saying if you
understand-
do this, you need to do this.
It's similar to like if a prisoner refuses to go back into a cell, force is administered to get them back in the cell.
Yeah.
If a prisoner does X, if a slave does X in this situation and force is administered, this is, depending on the outcome, this is how you handle it.
Saint Vengeance, yes. That would be accurate to everything being talked about. So, yeah. Oh, Dustin, man, I should have saw Dustin's argument in the chat earlier. He said she doesn't own her own children. Yeah. Exactly. What does it mean to actually have property? What does it mean to actually have people as property?
Be like Dean and say kids have consent.
Deuteronomy 23:16, Saint Vengeance. Actually, all of Deuteronomy 23, going from 10 to verse 17, talks about how you should treat slaves that are acquired from war, which is the only way, by the way, in which that you can acquire chattel slavery, is by invasion or by being invaded. They don't just, also as well, them being sold to the Israelites by the other nations. So, yes, you can buy them from surrounding lands. That's what I just said.
The whole point is, what's immoral? She doesn't have a standard.
The thing,
She's going in circles. She doesn't provide justification.
And the way that it applies, don't Google it, right? Is that you can buy slaves from the lands. But God says that if your slave decides he doesn't want to be with you anymore and he runs away, don't chase him. Let him go. Sounds 1,000 times better than any probably other society that existed at that time. Yes,
Also,
you can have
like,
slaves, but if they want to leave, let them leave. Bro.
Like a lot of the times, the foreigners, when they would come in and be, quote unquote slaves, it's like they weren't they weren't slaves in the sense of like American
That's not a
slavery as it seemed there. They were seen like literally as, they were working for that person while being provided with a place to live, food, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's because with the right things that are in place, Dark Knight, that it's not inherently wrong in of itself. If the right edicts are in place to protect the persons, both parties.
I have to say this because of people like Dark Knight in the chat. Our society still consists of slavery. It's just commercialized in the form of prison systems. Even if you cut out actual labor, like how they do in the South, you still, like the question you asked earlier, what does it mean to own someone as property? Once you start getting into the nitty gritty of that, the atheists start saying, oh, well, you can do whatever you want to them. Then you have to admit that slaves in America were not owned as property because you couldn't do whatever you wanted to them.
There were
rules. There were rules to protect them still. Yeah. And then once you get them to admit that, there's no way you can separate a prisoner in our current prison system from a slave in Israel. There's no way to do that. So the atheist has to admit that there are circumstances in which slavery is okay, and they don't understand that.
Yeah. By the way,
So, I mean, in a sense,
what user said, he said that it contradicts 1 Peter 2:18. No, it does not. The slaves, in reverent fear of God, submit yourselves to your masters, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also those who are harsh. That's because if you are somebody who is an indentured servant to a master, it actually represents the entire point of the church and us being under Christ and things like that. So if you're somebody who loves God, you would understand that mentality as well. That if you were somebody who is an indentured servant, that you should serve them well. That's all it's saying.
Dark Knight, when did Bryce say that there's no good in the circumstance? When did he say that?
That's it.
I think he was referring to what I just said.
No, I didn't. I said that under the right situations, and that if it's practiced correctly, I believe that there's nothing immorally wrong with said thing, as long as it's something that is practiced correctly. Not something where somebody just gives somebody to somebody and says, do whatever you want.
I don't think she understood also we go by
doesn't.
vice and virtue, and her standards completely arbitrary, by the way. No criteria. She doesn't even have criteria to determine what evil or what good is in the first place. And her assuming evil presupposes and necessitates an opposite good.
That's
also, we don't believe evil exists anyway.
Yeah,
So.
and that's what I harped on pretty much the entire time that I talked to her. Was like, you told me that you have an argument that disproves my religion objectively. And then you said, if God real, why is he mean? That was the argument. So in a simple sense, I simply just ask, how do you know that he's mean? And then she gives me her personal opinion. W Christianity destruction.
You weren't even being nice to her and not pressing her by making her give a syllogism or like a premise-formed argument.
She didn't understand any of that shit. Why would I do that?
No, I mean, maybe just to simplify it for her and for the audience, be like, okay, let's go step by step. Hey, number one, what's your initial
with
claim?
Regulations,
what's your next claim? And then what's your, where you give that? What's your conclusion? Because, you know, she started using reductio horribly. She doesn't know what a reductio is.
It's because of the fact that she didn't start using that word until I used it. So I just wanted to throw that out. I said that I was applying a reductio to the worldview, and I said that like 2 or 3. If God real, why don't I have a GF? I agree, bro. I think that honestly destroys Christianity. If God, if God is real, why is he mean?
I think she should stick to
riddle me that, Batman.
Not philosophy.
Yeah.
I think she had a Calvinist background.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I think she sounded like she had a Calvinist background because when she started, she was conflating God's foreknowledge and his will. And, if God foreknew, then
I would say evangelical.
The children to die. So
I would say she had an evangelical background because the way she said, she was a Calvinist, she kept saying, okay, let's go to the Bible as if like we're sola scriptura. But the way her emotional, the way she's emotional and everything like that made me assume she's like an ex-evangelical. And every time you see an ex-evangelical turn to atheist, they continue to talk like an evangelical, but just like for the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's correct. I bet you she listens to that deconstruction zone guy. That always goes into
those are deconstruction
lowest
zone.
IQ.
I know. And it's funny too, because you want to know like how bad their arguments are. Concede and watch. Do you think that slavery is wrong? No.
Get off my panel.
Oh my gosh.
You're obviously
Christianity destroyed.
Sorry.
You didn't make an argument.
You literally just
said that my morals are mean. Therefore, Christianity
Complete
wrong.
soy.
Correct. Presupposing that your system is correct. Amazing.
Dark Knight guy, he won't even interact. Dark Knight won't even interact with me anymore because I just bit the bullet every time. I'm like, yeah, what's wrong? Like, what's your criteria to determine what's evil or not. He just kicks me. He doesn't even interact with me here. He hates me. Get out of here with your fail bullshit.
If God real, why am I broke? It's okay, Tempo. You can become my indentured servant to make off all that debt.
And if he's too mean, to run away, and I will house you.
Technically,
and if I start beating the shit out of you, Tempo, you can run to Wi-Fi Gospel's house.
Hey,
I can.
As long as I'm doing it too much.
Oh, type stuff.
Yeah,
so
I'll
like
beat
if
you
I
to
go
the
and try to steal your wallet, of course you're gonna like slap the crap out of me.
No, I'm gonna hit you with a rod, bro.
Yeah, tight stuff.
Or what'd you say?
Did you ever talk to Central Dawa, Bryce?
No.
He's
never wanted to come up here. He was in here earlier. He watches my streams all the time. And so does freaking Libiano and Central Dawa sit in here and watch my streams for like hours and never come up here.
They take notes the entire time.
Libiano refuses to talk to Bryce. We've reached out to him. We've made contact numerous times. He refuses to talk to Bryce or like anybody within, any of the Dyer circle whatsoever or associates. They don't interact.
It's freaking. They just watch my stream. That Dr. Khalil Andani's in here though. I can see that.
That's pretty fire.
See him in here.
Oh no.
What's going on, Dr. Khalil? I saw you've been in here for a little bit.
I'm curious, Dr. Khalil, have you interacted with Libiano before? If you're still in there. And speaking of substitutionary atonement,
do you want me to split this panel probably in half? Not the people on the panel, but the people in chat. Because a lot of people freaking think we affirm PSA in the Western sense, and
I was listening to Father Steve.
Ooh, someone asked you an even better question: the Toma Leo continuity with Cyril's third and fourth anathema.
Yeah, because we believe that Saint Cyril's entire corpus is teaching what Pope Saint Leo is teaching, and so like just because of the fact that the wording is used differently, right? So like when Cyril says we no longer say that there are two, right? That there is only one Christ, right? That in our view, when he says two hypostases, that would be referring to the persons in terms of like the definitions that he's giving, and so when he's saying we no longer say that there's two, like in the anathemas, that there's only one. We don't believe that that's referring to Usia at all. It's not referring to Usia. It's not saying that there's now only one composite Usia. Sure. That rather there would just simply be two natures in one person. That's why we would never say that there's two persons. It's a refutation against Nestorianism, and we are not Nestorians.
And also, like, if Saint Cyril doesn't teach, the same as Pope Saint Leo, then like you would then have an issue with Saint Cyril if Pope Saint Leo is wrong. Like Saint Cyril is pretty explicit on two operations in the sense that Cyril says that as God he talks in this way. He says verbatim. He says he talks as God and talks as man. Both with equal authority.
Cal Dillard, that was one of the first books I ever read on Christianity. That's by Dr. Frank Turek. That is a good book, but I disagree severely with his view on the cosmology of the universe.
what was his cosmology?
He's a mega old Earth creationist, and he believes in like freaking like evolutionary, like Christian evolution and things like that.
Oh,
that's why we call him Frank Turkey. Good guy though, good kid.
Great guy. He honestly
Zimmer
one of the
type
people that brought me intellectually to Christ, to understand him, to be able to understand the
speaker.
truths. I mean, his empirical evidence for Christ is immaculate, the way that he is able to profess that. But his cosmology of the universe is freaking dog water. So just be careful with that if you decide to read that book.
Do you think he's even looked into like the church fathers? I mean, possibly with like
he's quoted them. He's quoted them a couple times, but the only church fathers he's ever actually like quoted are like Ignatius.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, he's like
Maximus.
Hold on, he's like the go-to for all Protestants. Like, I don't think, because here's one thing, I don't really think, and this is no strip, but maybe I don't think they necessarily read all of what he has, because if they read them, then they'd be like, oh wow.
Yeah, like
but he's kind of
specifically
like
his epistle to the Ephesians.
he's kind of like the go-to for all Protestants to prove, like, oh no, Christianity and what we believed
By the way,
in like the first century.
From the historical perspective, July, the reason why Alexandria, like just in a general sense, was against the tome was because the way that they professed hypostasis and ousia was slightly different than the way that the rest of the church was doing it. So when they basically declared that there is two natures in Christ after the union, the Alexandrian rite misinterpreted that as there are two persons, because a hypostasis to the Alexandrians is ousia. Well, not exactly, just nature in general. That a hypostasis, technically speaking, is a nature.
So I forgot, they don't even use ousia like that, do they?
Yeah, they think that ousia is not even actually a thing.
Yeah.
So they don't actually think it's a thing.
Bryce, you better end here pretty soon.
Yeah, in a couple minutes.
Yo, I'm going to bed, guys. Good night. God bless.
Hey,
Good night, bro. God bless.
What's up, Daniel?
Good night, Gramps.
I only got a couple more minutes. But
Hello.
Up? Yeah, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yep. How are guys? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What's up?
Yeah, just new to TikTok, I suppose. I've got a channel of my own on YouTube. I saw the title, Jesus is God, Trinity is true. So I thought to have a chat. Are you okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tired. I'm up past my bedtime.
I can see that. So you've been going on for some time now.
I got kids, so they wear me out during the day.
Yeah. Okay. So you're comfortable. I assume that you're not comfortable talking now, but do you want to do it some other time?
We could definitely do it some other time. Just tell me what you are, so I can prepare for it. Just to know a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. I've got a channel on YouTube. It's called Prophet Daniel Has Spoken. Mm-hmm. So if you get into the channel, I've been making some content.
Okay, let me check you out. Prophet Daniel
Has Spoken.
The Holy Quran is the guardian text over the Holy... So you're a Muslim?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. If you want to definitely come up, I'll probably stream again here, I think Saturday. If you want to come up here, you give me a follow. I will definitely converse with you. I don't have a problem with that. You just came up really late. I had multiple conversations today.
Bruce, I have a question. If I say that I'm Prophet Zechariah, does that like ixnay this guy's claims? Like checkmate?
No,
you basically a misunderstanding.
You said what?
You're basically misunderstanding. It's just my YouTube channel name. It's like Prophet Daniel.
He's not saying he is.
It's a joke, dude. It's a joke. It's a joke.
He's not saying he is Daniel.
Calm down.
Yeah, don't worry about it. The fact that doing this call on the phone is very troubling to me. It's not comfortable of the things to do because of my problems using the phone for a long time in my ear. I would rather do it on YouTube if you're okay. Like if you want to come on, have a conversation on YouTube. It will actually help me have a better conversation rather than having this phone on my ear all the time.
What I can do then is that the next time that I do stream, I will turn on the StreamYard because I have a StreamYard room that I can use as well, and then we could just talk on that. I don't mind.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Okay. Well, so, just give me a follow and then I'll DM you.
I'll keep an eye on your YouTube.
All right, cool.
Channel and yeah. So when is the next likely time that you're going to be online?
Probably Saturday.
Saturday.
Or no, probably. It might be Saturday night, but it could be Friday night. Just kind of depends. I have kids, so like if my kids are being turds, I can't stream. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye. If you do come up live, then I'll try to join.
Okay. Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. In the meantime, if you want to have a look at my content, you can have a look at.
Yeah, I'll take a look at a couple of them.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
All right. See you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bryce, we got to get you an outro song.
An outro song?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do an outro song real quick. I have one.
Hey.
Quiet.
Basil.
You do one of those dubstep ones.
It's not AI, no. It's about Constantine, bro. It's about Saint Constantine. Change everything. It's too easy. All right, I'll catch y'all later, man. Appreciate it. Oh, it's called Constantine. It's a parody of Come On, Eileen. Catch you guys later.